Hello everyone and welcome to another stream. How's everyone doing? Hope you're having a good weekend. I am excited, chat. I'm excited for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's just fun to get to hang out. Missed the Thursday YouTube stream, 'cause Thanksgiving. But at least this one wasn't my fault. I didn't invent Thanksgiving. So we're doing it today. But from now on, it should be back to normal. It should be on Thursdays. From now on, like normal, until something else unexpected comes up. Oh, thanks, Phoenix. Yeah, I like this shirt, too. My lipstick matches, too. The camera's not picking up on it very well, but it's a similar pink. It looks different in the camera, though, for some reason. So welcome, everyone. Excited because we're going to be watching stuff that you guys sent, so I don't know much about it other than, like, the titles and the brief looks I gave when I was kind of picking out stuff you guys sent. And also, Doctor Who. Brand new Doctor Who's out. It's the 60th anniversary of Doctor Who 2 days ago. But you know, bunch of stuff happened. It was on Thanksgiving, so I didn't get to do anything about it. So after the YouTube stream, which might be slightly shorter than usual, we usually run about 3 hours, so this might be like 2 or 2.5 on YouTube. And then I'm going to do an incredibly self-indulgent fan stream on Twitch just about Doctor Who, and that it's like the 60th anniversary, and I'm gonna gush about Doctor Who until I get bored and decide to go downstairs and watch the new special with my lovely wife. Please don't spoil the special for me. I haven't seen it. I don't know anything about it other than I saw the new TARDIS interior, which is beautiful, but I'm excited for that. So if you're a Doctor Who fan, we'll do a big geeky self-indulgent stream on Twitch looking at clips and stuff from the history of Doctor Who. And if you're interested in Doctor Who in general and like, oh, this show's been going on for a while, people like it, what's that about? I'll kind of, as spoiler-free as possible, give an overview. I'll try and entice you, you know? It'll be for fans, both old, new, and maybe people who are just Who curious. So if that sounds interesting, come to the after show. So, today, like I said, we're looking at stuff that you guys sent. So let's get started. Did I hear about the BS regarding the docudrama having to be edited because of that one asshole? I vaguely heard that they took out something addressing racism or something. Ridiculous. Anyway. This seemed just cute. This is a fun, easy thing to start with. This guy just goes around and he says nice things about people. This is just a character he does. This is the kind of prank that I think we should all get behind, because no one gets hurt, and it's just nice. Smith Black with a $5 super chat says the Timeless Child plot point was the best thing that ever happened to Doctor Who. Hashtag hot take. That is a hot take. Holy shit. That is a nuclear take. I am not as mad about the Timeless Child stuff as some other people are, because I can work it into my, like, retcon stuff. And plus, if you look at, like, early Doctor Who, for instance, Baha and I last night watched the Celestial Toymaker 4-parter. It doesn't exist officially, but you can find the audio and reconstruction using pictures if you look hard enough online, because the new special, the new series of specials, is like a direct sequel to that story, so we thought it'd be fun to watch that. And during First Doctor Classic Who, he does make reference to things happening to him before he was on the show. Like, he's fought the Celestial Toymaker before. Like, where's that? I don't know. I'm just saying there are ways that you can look at the Timeless Child where it doesn't break canon. I don't think it explicitly does in any way. I personally don't like it for a variety of reasons. But, like, I've been able to integrate it in a way in my view of the show where it's fine. I can still basically be the same thing. Just briefly, I know this isn't the Doctor Who stream, and I swear I'll be done in just a sec. I've always thought of the Doctor as a character more like Kal-El than Superman, and what I mean by that is Superman isn't Superman as much as Clark Kent is a human being raised in Kansas who finds out that he's been bestowed with incredible power because of his birth, and feels the need to live up to the ideal of Superman. And that doesn't mean that, like, Clark isn't a big Boy Scout. That doesn't mean he isn't a really good guy inside. But there's a self-awareness almost a meta awareness that Clark Kent is Clark Kent, a real person, and Superman is an identity that he dons to be a symbol of hope, you know? For the Doctor, I always took it as the first Doctor who escaped Gallifrey. He didn't want to be connected to anyone else other than, like, Susan, so he was very, especially at first, pushing everyone off. The narrative he was telling about himself of who is the Doctor, Doctor Who, is he was an abrasive, kind of enigmatic old man with his own interests, and then over time being softened through his interactions with his companions, which I'll illustrate in the Doctor Who stream later. This is a teaser, wink. He learns to realize that's not who he wants to be, right? And I'll show specific scenes in the Doctor Who stream addressing this. Especially in the 10th planet, I think is the point when he's confronted with the Cybermen for the first time, and I think there is a thematic mirroring going on between the first Doctor's original characterization as a cold, uncaring being, and now at the end of the first Doctor's life with the Cybermen, after he's had such an amazing arc of being this, like, angry guy who doesn't care about people, through meeting, like, Barbara and Ian and all of his subsequent companions, teaching him how to be human, teaching him how to care about other people, the Doctor is now faced with a enemy who is a symbolic representation of how cold and calculating he used to behave before he was, you know, taught better by his companions. And in that moment, you can see him angry at the Cybermen when they say they don't care if people are going to die. And I think that's the moment where the Doctor's narrative about himself and who he wanted to be as the Doctor solidified. He fights monsters. You know, he stops people because it's what you need to do. Because it's just what you need to do. I don't know. It's interesting. Anyway, sorry, I have Doctor Who on the mind today.
I'm not sure what that accoutrement is, but I absolutely adore it.
Thank you.
Is it a postural tool?
I don't know. I got it from Amazon.
It looks phenomenal, and you rock it.
Thank you.
And you're going to turn it into a thing.
Oh, the point I was trying to make with that, with the Timeless Child, is it doesn't matter to me if the first Doctor isn't actually the first Doctor, because at the point he became the first Doctor with the retcon, he was essentially a new person with a lot of amnesia, who only knew a select things about his own past. And what is important to me about Doctor Who is that it's about a character who doesn't always live up to their own expectations and story they want to tell about themselves, but they know who they want to be as the Doctor, someone who helps people. That's why they took the name. And they're always trying to live up to that. They're being the myth that they have made about themselves. Fake it till you make it, but an epic 60-year television show covering that. Okay, end of Doctor Who segment.
Whatever it is.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I recently made a video giving drive-by compliments to people in London. In the comments section of the video, a lot of people
He's so lovely.
said, I'd like to see you try that in New York. Well, here we are. Quizzical but stylish, sir. You look like you manage a rock band and you're on a day off, but you're not quite sure what to do with yourself. Very much enjoying your amble, sir. You're ambling like a champion. You look very comfortable in each other's presence. It's a lovely way to be with another human.
Like, such sincere, nice things.
And also, you look absolutely adorable. I love your green streaks.
Thank you.
You look meditative and stylish.
Okay.
It's a twofer. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Cool. I adore your tricolor pastel multicolored socks. All of these colors together, they look magnificent.
I try to look as bright as nice.
And I adore those earrings.
Yeah, I try not to look like the garbage, you know.
You look anything but the garbage. You look the polar opposite of the
I
garbage.
know.
You make the garbage look even more like garbage. Aha!
You're here.
I am here. Hello there.
My mate's going to be so jealous.
What's your mate called?
Toby.
I'm sorry you can't be here, Toby, but not that sorry, because at least now Chris gets bragging rights. All the best. Oh, I see what you're doing.
Only my mother is because she's all struggled up like so.
Right. You're the Oedipal cowboy of the fountains. All your picnic arrangement, you've unselfconsciously made the space work for you. You have a better one. Thank you for being shocked at the interruption, but then looking up at me and giving me genuine warmth when you've established I'm not a threat. Happy travels, or happy arrivals. You're welcome. Departure.
B31
Did I
Live
interrupt the
series.
tearful goodbye? Yeah. Sad to see him go, but glad to have your own space. I understand.
You look great.
You look better. I adore your Art Deco glasses. You're a wonderful collision of styles. It's controlled chaos that somehow works wonderfully. I love the fact that you empathetically withdrew your ankles as though they were going to hinder my progress. Nowhere near it. Your radar, for instance.
Hey, here's a good, like, if you're ever... Some people don't always know how to, you know, socialize with people very well. I'm one of these people. I'm not great at it, but I've taught myself vaguely, which is why I'm still weird and not very good at it. But, you know, there's some tips. Here's a tip. If you're like, I want to be nice, I want to compliment people, but also, like, I don't want to be a creep. Because, you know, compliments in the wrong context can be creepy. I think we all know this kind of intuitively. Don't, if you're worried about that, compliment something about someone that they chose. Don't compliment them about something that's just, like, innate to them. Like, if you see someone and you're like, your eyes are so beautiful, creepy, right? Like, there's no, like, what are you even saying to them? That wasn't a decision they made. It's like you're commenting upon them as an object, right? However, if someone has, like, cool shoes or a hat or, like, you know, they're just vibing, you know? They're just like, whatever. That's fine, because you're not commenting on them as an object, you're commenting on their choices as a person with agency and complimenting it. See how they're different? There's a difference. That's a free tip.
Interrupting people was enormous.
Isn't it nice?
It is wonderful, absolutely wonderful. You have the air of a couple who's been together for many decades, but still are happy within each other and your relationship.
Ooh, I didn't know that, Mecca Churchill.
Wow, just keep doing what you're doing, because it clearly works. You have a phenomenal swagger.
You could do the same for insults? That's true.
Love it. You have
Not my intent with that advice, but yeah, it would probably sting more if it's something that they chose.
phenomenal
But don't do that, that's mean.
swagger. I see the way you're rolling your cane. The hat at the ratish angle.
This is how I feel.
You know what you're doing. This is how you feel.
Exactly.
You're communicating how you feel. Osmotically, you're making me feel how you feel. And that's a wonderful thing.
This vibe that, you know, I set off to you and you received that.
I did. We're receiving each other very hard, aren't we?
One of my favorite actors, Earl Flynn, and you resemble him
I'm very much receiving you now.
in his younger movies.
Well, not now, of course, unless he's necrotizing
Wouldn't it be nice if we lived in a world where everyone was just, like, nice to each other?
magnificently.
I know that life's more complicated than that, and there's actual material reasons people come into conflict, but, like, you know, on a normal daily basis when people don't really have a need to be constantly agitated with each other, it'd be kind of nice if people were just kind.
You're phenomenal.
My name's Rico.
Rico Suave.
There you go, my God.
The dog's very, very well behaved, and it means you'll probably make excellent parent.
Thank you.
Oh well, I adore your jacket, sir. A splash of colour at the back.
Thanks very much.
Benign psychedelic fantasy and a
Yeah, this community is good. This community is good.
monochrome back.
I think I've been self-conscious about this recently, not because of you guys, to be clear. So if I've said anything recently that comes off as defensive or, like, accusatory that the chat is, like, does bad stuff, I didn't mean to do that, if it ever came off like that. I've been self-conscious about myself recently in my content and being concerned if I'm responsible with my platform, and I'm striving to make sure I do that. So I'm sorry if in the past, like, week or so I seemed to get, like, agitated or something. That's my own problems that I was bringing to the surface, and that's not on you. I've curated, I think, a really kind community that's understanding and empathetic for other people, and I trust you guys to know that. So
Background, lovely. Well, it popped out and it got me, and congratulations because you win.
You know the rules, and so do I.
Is death?
This is called Man with 200 IQ Says Death Isn't the End. Again, one of you guys sent this to me on Discord.
What does it mean to die?
That's the termination of your relationship with your particular physical body that you have at this present time.
AKA, you know, you die. You cease being a person. You're a former person. Your personality and who you are as a person, your identity ceases to exist in reality. You know? Like how like if you had an apple, right? And you just let it sit there long enough, it's going to decompose until nothing resembling an apple exists anymore. Like, it'll just completely decompose into, you know, the dirt and just be, like, part of everything else. That's kind of what happens to you and your personality. Like, you no longer exist. And that's confusing for some people, I think, because all we know is ourselves. Like, all we know and everything we have ever perceived in our entire lives is through the framework of ourselves and our own existence and personality. So sometimes it can be hard to get your head around, like, when you die, nothing happens to you. Materially speaking. Like, if you have religious beliefs, I don't agree with you, but I'm not talking about that right now. Materially, physically, with evidence, nothing happens to you. You cease. You cease. You no longer exist. Other things happen, but you're just not a part of it. Just like before you were born. It's like that.
When you are retracted from this reality, okay, you go back up toward the origin of reality. You can be provided with a substitute body, another kind of terminal body that allows you to keep on existing.
Who are you, and I don't know the backstory behind this, because again, when you sent this to me, like, what is he claiming is his expertise that allows him to have some sort of ineffable, magical knowledge about a hypothetical afterlife? Like, I know they're claiming he has a 200 IQ, but first of all, IQ doesn't, even if his IQ, for whatever that fucking means, even if it actually was measured at 200, being good at an IQ test or smart doesn't mean you are right about things or can grasp knowledge magically from the ether, like from nothingness. You would actually have to still show your work. And secondly, probably doubting the IQ test thing. Just seems like a thing that you make up when you're a grifter, right? Like, no, I don't think you have a 200 IQ, sir. I don't believe you. Tea Time with $10 super chat says, I've dropped a lot of skeptic channels recently because a lot of them are just jerks. I really appreciate how you empathize with these people and focus on their actions. I try.
With the same memories,
this is what religions. Excuse me.
With a modicum of your memories before, or a complete eraser?
Erasure? I'm being pedantic.
You can have these memories can be retrieved. Nothing goes out of existence in the conspensive math of it. Your memories can always be
in the conspensive math. Does that just mean in terms of, like, conservation? What is the definition of conspansive? Oops. My mic's quiet. I'll try and fix it. Oh my god, it's a fucking chat GPT answer. God damn it. Is it just straight up woo-woo? Does it not mean anything? Oh, it's a bad request to the website that it's citing anyway. Interesting. Let me find my mic stuff so I can fix it.
pulled back out. But there's no reason to do that, usually.
Is that better?
Okay.
Do I sound... Is that
Why
too loud
cling
now?
to memories of a world
How about
in
that?
which you are no longer
Is this good? Is this more reasonable in terms of the, you know?
instantiated? So there are certain automatic psychological things that happen on death, at the moment of death. And also you mentioned what happens after death. That's not quite appropriate, of course, because that's a temporal preposition. And when you're extracted from the terminal domain, you're no longer...
This is word salad. He's trying to use fancy-sounding words that aren't even fancy words, but, like, it's the kind of thing Deepak Chopra does. This guy's low-budget Deepak Chopra.
time-like. Now you're...
He's trying to use words that sound mystical or science-sounding words that people generally don't understand in their proper context in order to try and make it seem like he's smarter than he is. I would almost go as far to say, but of course I would never do this, I'd almost go as far to say this is an intentional con man. Can you imagine?
Basically, meditating. Seeing.
JPP 3030 with a $5 super chat says, let's see, you and Jake and your communities were my entire social life when I was going to college during the pandemic. Miss you all, and I'm glad I saw this was live. Well, I'm glad that you're here too.
everything changes. However, you exist that way right now. Arguably, all of your lifetimes, if you were to be reincarnated again and again and again, all of those reincarnations are meta-simultaneous. There is a sense in which they all occur at once in the non-tournament.
That doesn't mean anything. Like, I understand what he literally means in the sense that, oh, all of your reincarnations are happening simultaneously somehow in the meta-ether bullshit language. What does that mean? Like, what do you mean? Like, these things that are happening separately in time are somehow also happening simultaneously? That's an oxymoron. What are you doing? I swear to God, quantum grammar guy was more consistent than this.
So when people talk about heaven, which I know you have your own views, a specific differentiated view I haven't heard before as to what heaven is and even hell. When people talk about heaven, usually what they mean is something like reinstantiation of this body with probably a better hairline than I have, and
You
a
got a
bit
great
younger.
hairline.
Oh man,
It's better than mine is.
Is it? When I've talked to Chris, I mean, I guess this comes from my upbringing too, because, like I said, when I was young and I was learning Christianity, my parents were non-denominational, my grandparents were Lutheran, and the school I went to was a fundamentalist Baptist school. Yes, these are all off the Discord. So a lot of the things that I got were, you know, different. I was getting different views from different sects. But, like, mostly what I heard was that people felt that we wouldn't have physical bodies, that it would be a spiritual existence, or if we did have something akin to new bodies, it would not be the same bodies, it'd be more ethereal. And again, we're talking about religious, like, spiritual shit, so, like, material reality doesn't matter in terms of the descriptions I'm making, but, like, you know, that's kind of what makes it mythology and religion as opposed to something demonstrable and materially true. And it's like he's trying to turn one into the other? He wouldn't be the first, I know, but it's just annoying. He's doing it very unconvincingly. You know how sitcoms that are kind of like in the genre of The Office will have, like, that character that's like, everyone makes fun of them? I'm thinking, like, in Parks and Rec, like the Gary Jerry type, you know? I kind of feel like this guy's that, but for the woo-woo community. Like, everyone's like, oh, that guy, Jerry.
But you should see Bernardo Castrop, who I should put you in touch with. Have you heard of Bernardo Castrop?
I've heard of Bernardo. Yeah, as
He's
a matter of fact,
wonderful.
I think he was on
hairline.
an email distribution that I was on. I think it was one of Jack Sarfati's email distributions.
So who's that? Jack who?
Jack Sarfati?
Yeah.
Jack Sarfati is one of the hippies who saved physics.
Uh-huh.
You
Is
ever
he
read that
related
book?
to UFOs? Does he study UFOs?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I think he's working on right now. He's working on metamaterials that will allow us to build spacecraft that emulate Tic Tacs. Remember those Tic Tacs that
We're going to talk about that, man.
The what?
I mean, yeah, he's a gonzo physicist, right? But he's been around since the 1960s, and he and there are a bunch of other guys, like Sarag and Nick Herbert and Fred Allen Wolf and other people like this. There's a guy named David Kaiser, I think he's at MIT. He wrote a book called How the Hippies Saved Physics. And these were the guys, non-locality and all the
I haven't seen the Doctor Who special yet, watching it later. We are doing, after this stream, we're going to do a Doctor Who 60th anniversary kind of fan discussion, fan girl stream after this on Twitch. So check it out if you want to talk about Doctor Who stuff. No spoilers, though.
quantum woo you
I assume you know that.
hear about sometimes came from
Just good to repeat sometimes.
these guys. But in reality, they had a lot of very productive thoughts. And in a way, the world we're living in now is an outgrowth of some of what they were thinking and doing in those days. Some of these guys are still around. I mean, not just Jack Sarfati, but you've also got other guys like, I know Nick Herbert is still there.
Yeah, I'm not sure the Tic Tac thing he was talking about.
You know,
Oh, the weird aircraft the Air Force has a recording of? The thing that was probably a bird?
and I know that the Wolf is still there, Sarag is still there. These guys are on email distributions that Jack sometimes puts me on one of his distributions and so.
I want to talk to Jack at some point. I heard that I should talk to Jack. What I've been exploring recently is the topic of UFOs, because, like you know, this podcast is about theoretical
Excuse you, they're UAPs now, didn't you hear?
physics, consciousness, free will, and God. And it seems like UFOs, from our observations of them, break the laws of physics as we know. So a simple one is angular.
Yeah, to be clear, the Doctor Who thing is not a patron thing. It's just something I'm doing on Twitch. Like, everyone can come. It's not a patron thing.
Sorry, a simple.
Sorry if I made it seem like it was. I don't think I mentioned Patreon, but, like, I understand how that could be a misunderstanding. It's an extra stream, but it's not like you need... It's free. It's just on Twitch.
One is conservation of momentum. How can you move back and forth if you're... We have to assume a certain mass is associated with the craft.
Well, yes, and of course mass amounts to inertia, and that's a violation of inertia. You can't just suddenly turn on the baton like that.
Right, so that's what I've been exploring.
Unless you're dealing with a projection.
Right.
Did he wink when he said projection?
And
Right?
that's also
Is he doing Project Bluebeam?
called spoofing, I believe. Have you...
I'm so curious why he does he actually think his IQ has ever officially been measured at 200, or is it a complete grift? It's hard to say. It's really hard to say. Like, did he take, like, an online IQ test and think it was real? Did he do a Peggy Hill?
Have you heard that term?
Yeah, I have heard the term spoofing, but you need a better theater of reality in order to explain what this kind of projection could be.
Okay, while we're here, man, let's talk about this. What are your thoughts on UFOs in general, as well as the recent disclosure movements? Is there anything about UFOs that you find convincing that they are, in fact, maybe us from the future, maybe associated with God or demons or angels, or just an advanced civilization visiting us in the same way that we house people at zoos? I mean,
Well,
animals.
some of those, they could be any or all of those things. There could be different kinds some kinds that come from the future, sometimes.
Yeah, anyone who brags about IQ you should immediately assume is either sus or cringe.
Some kinds that come from.
Like, IQ tests have a specific purpose. Like, I've taken an IQ test before, as part of my, like, ADHD screening for some reason. This was a neuropsych. They charged me a lot for it too. It was annoying. And part of that had to do with, like, getting a baseline. And it wasn't like, see how smart you are or anything. It was literally just, hey, if we need to do this test later to see if your cognitive abilities have declined, we have a baseline to test against. Like, it helps you know, like, the same person taking the same test now and 5 years from now, like, has their ability to kind of, like, do the test gone up or down? Does this affect their like, is this indicative of their cognitive ability or a decline? You know what I mean? Like,
Another planet elsewhere in the universe.
they didn't give it to me to be like, yeah, let's see how smart you are. Don't misuse it. God damn. The misuse of IQ has been so annoying. Ugh. Also been used for some really racist shit. Surprise.
Right?
It's not a surprise.
But they definitely, you've got too much reportage on them. There are too many people who are coming up with heartfelt stories about them. They can't possibly all be fake.
Why? What the fuck does that mean? You could say that about anything that people lie about en masse. And not even, like, lie necessarily. This implication that talk about cryptids, UFOs, the supernatural in general, people are like, well, they can't all be lying. No, I don't think most people who claim to believe in or have seen UFOs or ghosts or anything are lying. Human beings are easily deceived by our own senses. Not any specific person, just everyone. Everyone is capable of this. So people are wrong all the time. That doesn't make them liars, it makes them wrong. That's fine. That's okay. The problem is when you assume if enough people are wrong about the same thing, that they must be onto something. No, people en masse are wrong about things all the time. Especially when you're talking about something like this. Small groups of people who believe in some very offbeat thing that doesn't have evidence, but they all have anecdotes, you know? That's like the definition of a lot of groups of people who believe in things that aren't true. Again, not necessarily liars, though usually there's some grifters thrown in there trying to sell a book or something. I don't know. You just shouldn't trust, like, you should trust humans, but don't trust them to be right all the time. Don't trust them to be infallible, because that's the furthest thing from what human beings are.
Right? People aren't liars. If someone's going to risk his reputation and be called a nut by coming out and saying, I saw a UFO, you have to take that person a little bit seriously. Sure, there are scammers out there and people who are going to lie about it, but I don't think we could have this much reportage without actually having something to it, right? So I think a lot of people are telling
You can't... What?
the truth about UFOs. That means they have to be explained, and there are a number of possible explanations corresponding to different kinds of UFO.
You know the fitness coaches can be expensive. That's why I was
Oh, it's an ad. It's an ad.
excited when
I think that's a good point to move on. Natural pause in the bullshit. He just seems like a grifter. I don't have a lot to say otherwise, because I feel like his entire grift is probably very similar. Just trying to sound like he has knowledge he doesn't, basically. Here's an article from Newsweek. Kyle Rittenhouse has lost all his money, his lawyer says. Now, I want to say, before we even read this, I would take this with a grain of salt. Like, I'm pretty sure he's trying to sell a book right now. So his lawyer going out and saying that he's broke could just be part of a strategy to get articles like this written about it, so more people know the book is out, or so that it'll get published or whatever. I don't even know if it has been picked up, but you know what I'm saying. This could literally be an attempt to raise his profile in the public. Again. So take that with a grain of salt. Kyle Rittenhouse has lost his money since he was acquitted over 3 shootings at a protest in Wisconsin, his criminal defense attorney Mark Richards has said. The 20-year-old is releasing a book that describes his life as well as the circumstances around his fatal shootings of 36-year-old Joseph Rosenbaum and 26-year-old Anthony Huber in August of 2020. Rittenhouse also injured 26-year-old Gage Grosskreutz and that protester held after Jacob Blake, a black man, was paralyzed from the waist down after he was shot by a white police officer the same month. Rittenhouse argued that he used the gun in self-defense and was acquitted of charges of first-degree intentional homicide, attempted first-degree intentional homicide, first-degree reckless homicide, and 2 charges of first-degree reckless endangering safety. Rittenhouse sparked uproar after he announced a new book, Acquitted, on his social media accounts on November 20th, describing it as a story of survival, resilience, and justice. What could the book even be? I was a little shit who was a fan of John Doyle and got radicalized into fascist bullshit, so I decided to get a gun that I shouldn't have even had possession of, cross state lines with it, and look for a fight. That's the story. You don't need a book. We know you suck. He's living, I don't want to say paycheck to paycheck, but he's living to support himself. Wow. Poor Kyle. Can you imagine anything worse than living paycheck to paycheck, something people do all the time that haven't killed people? As his lawyer and someone who I want to do well, I hope he does re-engage in his studies, but right now he's working full-time, he's living a law-abiding life, and he's doing something that he enjoys. Rittenhouse has been open about needing money in the past and previously used an appearance on Tucker Carlson's Fox News to request domain, or rather, I'm sorry. I really do need to get reading glasses, holy shit. I know I have some I used as props. Let me see if actually putting them on helps. These ones are the Velma ones, they have no lenses. I know I have some somewhere. Actually, the lenses I think they're cheaters, they're not even readers, I think they're zeros. I'll just go slower. Or make it bigger. How about this? Better. Rittenhouse has been open about needing money in the past and previously used an appearance on Tucker Carlson's Fox News show to request donations to his legal fund. He faces lawsuits from the man he shot and injured, as well as from the father of one of the 2 men he killed. Richards, who is also representing Rittenhouse in his upcoming civil cases, said of his client's book, "He talked to me about it. I read the book before it went to the publisher. I have no problem with him writing the book. He lived it, he paid for it, and it's his story to tell. I think he wants the whole story told. I represented Kyle from almost the beginning until the trial. That was approximately 15 months. And when I read the book, there were lots of things I didn't know," Richards said. Yeah, this is like literally just an article. This is literally just an article intending to, like, get you to buy the book. Like, that's just what this article is. But in the guise of, he's poor, don't you want to publish this to get a click? It's promotional for the book. Oh, anyway, fuck Kyle Rittenhouse. I hope the rest of his life is an absolute nightmare. Oh, this is hilarious, guys. I know you all love when I cover the PP show. So, someone who used to be on the PP show, his name is Pete the Pilot. He hasn't been there in months. And he showed back up, I want to say Thanksgiving evening or the day after Thanksgiving. I don't remember. It was recent. It was in the past couple days. Here it is. It's hilarious.
I'm trying not to do like degenerate shit anymore and trying to make money rather than lose money.
Yeah.
You know, that's a novel thing, I guess. But
Yeah.
whatever, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
you do what you can. You know, you take an L and you move on, like you guys probably ought to.
Yeah.
They were not prepared for someone to come on who used to be on their side, who is now telling them, "Hey, please move on."
I mean, you know, to be honest with you, I don't think it's over.
It was the day after.
Quite yet. If I'm being honest with you, real quick, we do have Johnny Jakes with the PP note here. Pete the Pilot, good to see you after so long. Bill Pulte's in here tonight.
Watch Sloppy, you know, the top left Sloppy Steaks guy who does the GIFs. The GIFs are so funny when he starts talking again, and he's talking about, you know, the reality of the situation that the stock has been canceled, and the GIFs are all like, what? You guys have been told this many times.
Right, with the 5 Me Love Plur, right
They're stealing the love of purple from me. I don't own purple. Purple's for everyone.
on, Bill. We also got Mike Hands with the 5. Travis, I'm happy you're doing better. Love ya, brother. Right on, fellas. Wayne with the 5. Pete, no longer living in Section 8 housing. Didn't see that coming. Right on. Yeah, Pete, it's like you're our buddy that we party in college. Then all of a sudden you graduate college, you get a job, and then you don't party anymore, man.
Guys, he's not partying anymore because he doesn't want to be part of their financial stock cult. The framing is interesting, isn't it? It's not even like it's not even like he had an argument where he was like, no, it's still here. He's literally just like, why aren't you having fun being delusional with us anymore? That's interesting.
Man, you're not I guess you're more clean cut now, you know, investing in the what'd you say, the SPY or whatever the fuck it is?
VOO, it's VOO, but
VOO.
fine. But
Oh, there's a gif where they called Pete a pussy.
same shit.
Again. He's just admitting reality.
Yeah. So Pete, tell me a little bit your thoughts about where we're at today in terms of Bed Bath & Beyond. Also Squirrel with the 2. Hey Thunders.
You'll notice, by the way, by the end of this, like, PP literally pushes Pete off the show. He kicks him off and, like, mutes him and hangs up on him, basically. It's bad.
For there's Plur. What do you think, Pete, in terms of where we're at today?
So the plan went effective on or about September 29th.
Mm-hmm.
It was the 29th.
And it was liquidated, boys. The options were settled.
See? Michael Scott. What? Oh no, he's piercing the veil of our echo chamber. Let's see how this goes.
For cash, and it was liquidated. And now we are here a month out, you know, and with the end of the exclusivity period or whatever, which doesn't even matter because it was liquidated. And
2 months out.
Yeah, sorry, but I think you guys are toast.
Yeah. What do you fellas think? Go ahead,
What
Travis.
do you fellas think? I already know what all of you think, but this is the cue for all of you to jump on him because he is a non-believer.
Real quick, Turk with the 10. Pete the paper hands. The Martian with the PP note. It says buy high and sell low. Am I Pete? The cheese with the 2. Pete buys high and sells low. What a
I don't know if he said he sold or if he did hold till the end, but at the very least, you know, he said the plan went effective on the 29th, so whether he sold before or held until the 29th, you and him have the same number of shares, which is 0, and you both made the same amount, which is negative money. However much money you lost. Like, there's no version of this where you sell high now, because the stock is gone. It doesn't exist. Any money you put in is gone already. It's been vaporized.
beta male. Control Chaos with the 5. At PP, tell Pete my $200 Venmo offer is still stands. DJ with the 5. Yeah.
I don't know what that's in relation to.
DJ with the 5. Can the panel shed any light on the recent rumblings around IEP? Yes, absolutely. We can tonight. Mo Money with the 2. Pete moved out of the Section 8 because he invests in funds. Right on, man. Moving up. Go ahead, Travis, if you want to answer it.
I was pulling up TradingView to also like pull up IEP, GME, and all these other things so we can touch on them very quickly.
Yeah.
But first and foremost, Pete, man, great to see you. I mean, it's probably been like 3 months, and I, hadn't heard from you. You
Well, I
look
mean,
good.
I had to step away, man. I was trolling you guys, and it just wasn't a good look, I
No.
mean, you got to be respectful, and
No,
that's
right.
that's kind of one of the reasons I came on. I would like to touch on that.
Yeah.
Like.
Pete? Someone reached out to me at some point and talked to me, and I don't remember if it was Pete or another person, but it might have been Pete. I should actually look into that. If he did, I should respond back about this.
While there's like,
oh, I didn't mention this. No, I shouldn't mention that until there's something more solid and I have a date. Never mind.
like a quote-unquote shill community, who's against you guys.
Chonky with $1.99 super chat says, "Hey Hannah, great to see you again. Oh whoa, thanks. Good to see you too.
I don't like.
I mean, I'm sorry. This is how you're supposed to respond to super chats." Chonky says, "Hi Hannah, great to see you again. Oh whoa." Right on.
Like the accusations of grift. I really don't.
Sure.
Because PP, I understand you're.
I think what Pete is doing here is strategic because he knows that PP is going to push him off anyway. Like, PP cannot have the echo chamber inundated with reality. He just can't. So at this point, I think PP's already looking to probably push Pete off the show and figuring out how he can do it in a way that doesn't make PP look like he's just kicking someone off for saying, the truth. Because at this point, I fully believe PP knows this is over. He's known it's been over. He is literally just trying to keep this going as long as possible. It's kind of like the Joker, right? Dark Knight Joker. He's that dog that catches the car and doesn't know what to do with it. Like, PP successfully fomented a financial cult on the internet, basically by accident, and now he doesn't know what to do. Because he can't just be like, guys, it's been over. Because, a lot of people are going to be mad at him, and some of these people might try and sue him, I'm not saying that they would necessarily, win or have standing. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know. But, I could see some of them at least attempting to sue him or something. So I feel like at this point he's got a hot potato, and this potato is his show that's a grift and an audience full of people that are time bombs who could freak out at him at any moment for telling the truth or revealing the grift. And he's doesn't know what to do. He can't just let it go, because then they'll know he basically rug pulled. Anyway, so the point I was trying to make is, I think in this chaos, Pete understands if I want to get more time on the show, I need to say nice things about PP. So he tells PP, I don't think you're grifting. I don't know if Pete actually believes that. It's not how I feel. In my opinion, PP has known for a while that this is bullshit. And he continues to do it and grift. But, by Pete saying, I don't think you're a grifter, It assuages some of the concerns PP might have about what Pete is going to say. It ingratiates him a bit more, makes him see like, oh, I'm on your side, see? Buys him a little more time on the show. Maybe he genuinely feels that way about PP too. But from my perspective, like from a purely pragmatist, rhetorical, I need to stay in this conversation so I can warn people that this is a grift and that this is all wrong, you kind of need to do that. Like, if I'm a cult deprogrammer, you know, if I was someone who was somehow allowed into, like, a cult, even for a day, you know, I'm not going to go in there and be like, your cult leader's lying to all of you, he's a grifter, he's lying to you, he's using you. Because A, you're going to get kicked out immediately, and there's a psychological phenomenon where if you tell people things like that, especially if they're in a cult, they've already been trained to respond to that defensively. That's built into cult structures, right? That's built into this show. Anyone who comes and says bad things about us, they're chills, they're paid, they're FUD, they're short sellers. If you come in too strong, you are going to bring up their defenses, and then you are no good to anyone in that space. So if you were to actually go into a cult like this, or an actual, like, real-world cult, this is more like a cult-like group. I don't know what to call it. So I usually say cult-like group. But let's say you went into an actual cult. You kind of need to placate. You need to make them think you're not one of the outsiders, because cults inoculate against that. By their very definition, cults are echo chambers where the members are taught that everyone on the outside is malicious and against you and looking to hurt you and try and trick you into leaving the group, which obviously would be bad for you because the group's amazing and only good for you. So you can't come off like that. You can't fall into these things that they're already inoculated against. You have to go in acting like at least a partial ally so that their defenses don't go up. And that's uncomfortable and weird and can make you feel bad, but it is something you have to do if you want to have a conversation or get any points in with groups like this. You can't come in hostile. They expect that, and in fact, it insulates the group further, because all you're doing if you go in really aggressive is making them go, see, everyone from the outside hates us and hates you. It further cements their identity as a member of the group in some sort of struggle against their perceived enemies. So.
You're 100% bullish and genuine. And,
yeah,
you know,
I believe it.
If you were just fucking grifter and you didn't believe in it, that would be one thing, but you were 100% genuine, whether you're right or wrong.
Yeah.
So vis-a-vis, you're not a fucking grifter.
Right on. Appreciate
no,
that.
Yeah, no, that's well said. And I will say, you know, the fresh cut, fresh new look. You're looking great, man. It really is good to see you. And I just want to say, you know, I know the options were settled for cash, which I think is weird. In my perspective, that options were settled for cash, even though like a lot of the options that were settled were for you know, a lot of 50-cent call options that were out of the money, and yet they settled for the money. And so for me,
because the stock doesn't exist anymore, so they have to settle with cash because they literally cannot settle with the shares.
That makes it really odd. I play options now and then. I know they're more volatile. I know that you can have good runs here and there. But don't you find it extremely
Fat
odd
vape
that
cloud.
they were settled for cash when they...
It's interesting, and this is something that you see within this group and others. Sometimes they'll contort themselves so much that they'll say a statement that to you or I goes, well, obviously it's because the stock doesn't exist anymore. But they are so insulated from that, and their entire reality has already been so warped by the mythology of the group that they are effectively living in a different reality where the same rules don't apply. So you or I will hear that and go, what do you mean? What are you even curious about? They were settled for cash because the stock doesn't exist. But that can't be the answer to him because it's contradictory to everything that's the baseline reality, quote unquote, created by the mythology of the group. So what seems obvious to you or I becomes inexplicable to them because it just does not fit into their distorted worldview.
They were out of the money?
I mean, you'd have to cite a source on that, bro. And I know that people who were short puts, that is to say, you know, you sold if you sold a put on Bed Bath and then it went bankrupt, you had to settle, you had to pay up, you had to pony up your cash because options were settled for cash. So if you were short put, you had to get paid out. I definitely saw some screenshots of that. But what Travis is saying, I don't necessarily I didn't see that. But you know,
well, I have seen
screenshots can be fake, whatever.
Sure.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I thought you were done.
Just kind of riffing. Yeah.
No, you're fine. You're good, dude, man. It's good to see
Sorry,
you.
I'm nervous because I know I'm going to get castigated coming on here, and you know,
don't worry about it.
And listen, guys, to the chat, I was once one of you. Okay, I was bullish on this shit.
Those are good times,
and you know, it was good times, man.
Yeah.
I assume the chat is saying tons of mean, terrible things about Pete. He's now an enemy in their eyes, so of course he's fair game for all kinds of awful shit I'm sure they said about him in chat.
So,
you know, back in February when it was priced to like $7.
It's gone beyond the Iraqi dinar thing at this point, and they're holding the annulled stocks. Correct. They're not even they're not really holding anything. The stock doesn't exist, but they think they are, and they think they're going to get something. They think they are owed equity. They're not. The stock has been canceled. It doesn't exist.
Man, we were on top of the world. I remember.
So people ask me how I got on the PP show, and one is AJ was trolling me on the r/short squeeze, and then Lancer was like, you need to come on the PP show. But the first time I watched it, actually, you were talking about the TSO, and I actually I resonated with you. I was like, dude, I don't care where the TSO is. That's fine. Let it be 700 or whatever. And so I almost came on to defend you. And then it ended up, because we look the same, it was like I somehow accidentally pulled out a total return swap on your reputation, and then you got shorted to the ground. Somehow I made a lot of money. I was like, that's crazy.
I'm happy for you, dude. Honestly, you're killing it over here.
And by money, you mean you've taken his place in the internet show where you're... Okay. I'm very happy for you. Weird that you're using a metaphor for gaining money in a situation where you have objectively lost money. But I get it.
You're helping him out with all kinds of stuff. I love the Pulte meetup. You know, you're a huge part of it. I mean, I love what the TV show has begun.
Nah, I haven't seen Dumb Money yet. I kind of feel like it's that's not even the part of the story I find most interesting. Don't get me wrong, the Keith Gill stuff, the 2021 pump that happened, it's kind of an interesting story, but I don't find that nearly as interesting as what happened after. This stuff, the weird financial cargo cults, that's what's fascinating to me. The 2021 thing's whatever. And I kind of assumed that, and maybe I'm wrong, to me it kind of felt seemed to me that the Dumb Money thing, the movie, was taking kind of the obvious... How do I put this? They wanted to turn it into a very black and white, just a bunch of, scrappy nerds on the internet destroying Wall Street. And it's like, I get that it's a movie, but that's not what happened, and that's not a nuanced, read on the situation at all. A lot of normal people, tons of normal people, suffered from the GameStop thing, and were left holding the bag. To act as though every retail or most retail investors that got involved made money, even a little bit, it completely ignores the fact that a bunch lost, and some of those that lost were desperate enough that they wound up here, in weird cargo cults, where instead of recognizing their loss back in 2021, they're still nearing the end of 2023 in this, and mythologizing and conspiratorially baking in order to come up with justifications for, how they're still going to make money. And we're to the point where we're not even really talking about GameStop people. They're still there, and we talk about them sometimes, but we're talking about a spin-off cult. This is a spin-off cult! Human behavior is really interesting. What's wrong with us? What's right with us? What is human?
It's become, and it's been so cool kind of watching from the sidelines, and I'm happy to be just kind of just checking in, you know.
Yeah.
I just feel grateful to be the bullish Pete.
It's a cool community. Yeah,
exactly. You're the bullish
this
Pete.
guy.
Wait,
Pete,
wait,
I might be a little more handsome too.
Pete, did you buy your
No,
ticket?
you're a handsome guy.
Go ahead, Travis.
Pete, did you buy your ticket? Are you coming? Like, I mean, I know
I'll check it out, Jen. Thank you.
You were one of us, and then you kind of switched sides, but like, you know, nothing but mad respect.
What is a man? A miserable little pile of secrets.
For you, because you're always genuine in all your responses and you know your stance, and I respect that tremendously. And I would love to meet you in person. So
that's
I
cool.
don't know if you're coming, but if you are,
if nobody thinks I would be a killjoy, then I would be happy to attend. I don't want to commit, but you know, we'll see how it plays.
I hope they never do a publicity thing like this near me, because if they do, I'm probably gonna get arrested for stealing a TARDIS. Like, I'm not even kidding. You leave like a professionally made TARDIS replica somewhere, I'm gonna figure out a way to get it. Don't know how, but I'll do it.
Plays with everybody, and
So-
you know, whatever.
So, Pete, I'm curious, how often do you still follow a lot of this stuff? I mean, do you follow it pretty much
Always,
still
every
weekly?
day, every
Okay,
single
so
day, man.
all right,
I
so
live
you,
it. I can't quit it until I know how the story ends.
right on. All right, cool. It's good to hear. So, my question to you, Pete, primarily is, do you think, what do you think about the failure to monetize some of those nulls? Because, you know, in my opinion, it's extremely bullish that they're essentially carrying them forward, preserving them. And as we know, shareholders need to be...
The nulls haven't been preserved. Literally recently there was a docket that came out and said that the nulls weren't monetized, which of course flies in the face of everything these guys think, because part of their current mythology involves them getting equity in some hypothetical new company, because if a company wants the nulls, which are net operating losses that could, in theory, be used to offset future profit, they believe that if a company wants those that they think are way more valuable than they actually are, then they have to take them along and give them equity. The thing is, no one's getting the nulls due to a variety of reasons. The company liquidated. Part of the law involving carrying nulls forward requires the business to still be the same business, basically. It needs to be the same business, more or less, continuing, but Bed Bath & Beyond completely liquidated. So the nulls already legally were not something that was able to be transferred. As of months ago, we knew that. But of course they ignored it and continue to think that there's something valuable that they are attached to in some way. On top of the illegality, the nulls, the amount of money that they offset doesn't overshadow the amount of debt you would have to take on in order to utilize them, even in hypothetical, if you could. So it doesn't make any sense, is what I'm trying to say. Is the Polte meetup still happening? It's supposed to be like December something. I don't remember the exact day. It's in December.
Made part of that deal if they plan to preserve
20 Czech dollars
for these nulls. What are your thoughts of where we're at today? Do you think it's impossible that we would see a credit bid at this point? I mean, and
no, what would they even be bidding on? There's nothing left.
If you do think it's impossible, why do you believe so?
I don't think there's a whole lot left of the Bed Bath, man. I mean, the stores, at least, I mean, you know, from what I've seen, have been, I mean,
the stores don't exist. The merchandise doesn't exist anymore. Like, it was given to, I believe, 6th Street as part of the actual finalization of the bankruptcy plan, because they were owed a bunch of money. So they took possession of former Bed Bath merchandise in order to sell it off at some point to make some money. They don't have employees. They don't have an intellectual property. Like, they don't have the name Bed Bath & Beyond anymore. They sold it to Overstock. So if you see bedbathandbeyond.com or anything like that. That's not the same company. That's Overstock.com that has changed its name because they bought the name from Bed Bath. I don't know. It's a shit show.
All the ones in mass have been liquidated.
Sure.
You know, I don't think there's much of it left. I mean, and Dream on Me is kind of taken by Baby. You know, how much of it is of the, you know, actual like brick and mortar actually is there left? Probably like barely any. And in addition to that, you know, they got all this on paper. I mean, debt in addition to, you know, I mean, they were illiquid. They were, or it's not liquid. Sorry, insolvent.
Sure.
You know, and that's why we went through this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I mean, the story is kind of that they kept it going as long as they could, and private equity.
I'm interested in what Travis must be thinking right now, because Travis is the one in the group that has expressed the most emotional turmoil over this situation recently. He's not doing well. I'm very concerned for him, genuinely. I think Travis needs support, and unfortunately I don't think he's going to get the kind of support he needs from these people, because the support he needs involves getting away from these people, at least temporarily. I'm not saying he can never know these people again. He's an adult. I'm just saying so much of his struggle and depression right now is in part being fueled by his denial of reality, and he's going to have a lot of grieving to do and like stuff to deal with when he does finally admit that he lost out here. But holding on to the delusion is just creating more and more issues. So I really hope he gets help and gets away from these guys so he can actually start healing, so we can actually start bettering like whatever's going on, so he can feel better, so he can regain confidence in himself and learn maybe why he wound up in this situation. I don't know.
Fucking took a big bite out of us, and we all just got fucked by Sue.
That's the thing. And even Pete, you didn't get fucked. No one fucked you. This is entirely of your own making. Now, there's a group dynamic here, and you can certainly talk about, like I do, the cult dynamic going on within the actual, like, PP group, the Reddit that used to exist. That's fine. But, like, no one tricked you. Like, you weren't, like, tricked into this, necessarily. You kind of got into a group and wanted to be fooled a bit. Again, I get it. We're all susceptible to cults and things. It just feels like this idea of them saying, we got fucked, completely absolves them of having to introspect at all about maybe why this happened. Like, you didn't get fucked. You made a bad decision. If you don't recognize that and try and figure out why that happened, you're gonna make the same mistakes again and again and again and again for the rest of your life. Introspection is hard and it sucks a lot of the time. It can hurt. It's emotional. It can be really dismotivating to think about yourself and all the wrong decisions you've made. But you need to do that in order to be a person who understands themselves and learns from their mistakes. Don't feel bad about that. You shouldn't force yourself into shame or feeling shame when you have to go back and look at what you did wrong. Like, it sucks and it's not fun, but you shouldn't be ashamed of trying to learn why it happened. You shouldn't even necessarily be ashamed it happened. It happened. Do better. Care about yourself and the people around you, and make decisions that are better for you and them.
No less.
What the fuck are you talking about, by Sue? She's the CEO now of Butterfly, man.
Because of some routine boilerplate ass
bullshit
fucking docket. Yeah.
Why the fuck is Bye Bye Baby hiring a bunch of people who use...
Because they are a company that is opening. It is a new company. They are hiring, rather, people who used to work at the old Bye Bye Baby, because that was a baby goods store with the same name. And now the new company is trying to build their own baby goods store. Do you not understand why in the world you might hire people from the same industry?
Used to work for Bed Bath & Beyond 2 fucking years ago under Triton, but they left.
Allegedly.
That's not alleged. That's fact.
And Bye Bye Baby is its own thing, but you don't own any of it, bro.
I will.
Why? Why in the world would PP believe that? They owe you nothing. You have no relation to them. They are not giving you equity because you are not owed equity.
Once they give
Yes, make sure you like the stream, please.
my new equity.
So, but they
Like, comment, and subscribe, YouTube.
they started their business.
When are you going to keep it going, man? When are you, I mean,
I think this is going to
first
wrap
of
up.
the year?
I think that this is going to wrap up. In my opinion, I hope for it to be wrapped up before the end of the year. Yes, but we'll.
If the Pulte meetup happens, or even if it doesn't happen, whatever happens with the actual meetup, after that date passes, I am so curious if that'll be a breaking point for any of the major ones here. ABC, Plur, Travis, Michael, are any of them going to finally make the decision to leave? I'm just trying to, in my head, figure out how long this will last for, because I don't know.
We'll just have to see, man, you know? Yeah, I mean, again, like, there's so much goddamn tinfoil, man.
By the way, if anyone's just a YouTube viewer and you haven't seen Twitch lately, congrats to Dr. Baja Blast, who is, again, a doctor now. She got her PhD. Congrats, doctor.
Like, Bill Pulte interacting with our group is one of the biggest things, you know? So
yeah, PP still makes money doing this. Not as much as he used to, but, like, reminder that he, with Pulte, sold $500 tickets to the Pulte meetup, and they sold like 100. So he certainly made money.
So, again, the guy already has like 3 fucking million followers. He comes to our subreddit. We have 2,000 people in there. So, yeah. All right. Does anybody else want to ask Pete anything tonight while we still have him here with us? Any questions? And then we'll let Pete do some closing thoughts here. We'll move on to some DD tonight.
I mean, I went to get the gloves. If he wants to box, let's box.
Those are MMA gloves.
Hey, man.
No, Pete. I mean, I
we
love
can talk
you.
about other shit too. We can talk about GME
Travis. Oh, God.
if you want.
So, but there's also just one.
I've never seen prop comedy done so depressingly. And I've seen Carrot Top live, and not in the 90s.
I guess one question. So, as you have one case of
That was the best Carrot Top joke ever told.
shares being taken, because shares are personal
It's a low bar, but you know.
property, and I can't find a single case where shares have been taken, they weren't replaced by new shares.
Now, I
normally just have to close them
all
out.
I can do is
so.
opine because I don't really have like solid evidence. But here's my understanding of it: is that when something goes bankrupt, there are like degrees to which the bankruptcy is finished and all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. Like, and some companies just kind of ghost the SEC, and it is what it is, and the positions are left like they're left. Whereas some companies, bigger companies that tend to go under, you know, more reputable companies that tend to go under, kind of dot all those I's and cross all those T's, and you know the shares are disposed of in a more
yeah, their subreddit got
concrete
nuked
and,
because
like,
they were harassing a woman named Platinum Sparkles.
like legit manner, I guess. But I don't know. But I don't know. I haven't experienced my shares ever coming out of my account, and I've never been through a bankruptcy before besides that. So
because there isn't any other case of it happening, and they can't force you to have a taxable event, and they
can't force you to have a taxable event. What? Yes, they can. The stock was canceled. That's a loss. They can't force you. Yeah, they can. What? Yeah, it's a loss that they're giving you information on so you can write it off your taxes. Think of it as a personal knoll.
like you own those shares. You have to close them out.
You don't own those shares because they don't exist anymore. Shares are not a physical thing. There are certificates that can be used to stand in for shares, but shares are an abstract legal agreement, a contract basically, that says you own a share or a portion of ownership in a specific entity. It's not just like a piece of paper that exists. And the papers that do exist, again, represent something. That doesn't mean the paper itself is worth anything outside of the social agreements we all kind of abide by. It's like money. Like, yeah, money's money. But let's say the world economy crashed tomorrow and no one gave a shit about the US government. It's just green paper, right? Same thing here. The Bed Bath & Beyond stock was worth something because it reflected an actual arrangement you had where you had legal ownership of a certain percentage of that entity. That entity no longer exists, so neither do your shares because they were just an abstract representation of an agreement you had. So once that's canceled, legally, it was legally canceled and deleted. You now have a taxable event, whether you like it or not, because you no longer have those shares because that legal agreement has ceased to exist. They think about this very literally. They think about it as if, like, the shares are like an object like this that you can hold in your hand and have and it's yours, you know? That's not what it is. It's not an object. It's not a physical good that you own in the same way you own this or this, you know?
Yourself in every case. The only time is, and if you look at actually the fee statements for the lawyers, it looks like they tried to give us, as soon as they canceled them, it looks like they tried to give us new shares. But
no, they didn't.
But there was an objection, which delayed it.
No.
And then they tried to give us shares again, and then there's another objection. And so
no one is trying to give them shares.
So it's just like, you know, Hertz, where there was fraud and whatever, and then they...
Hertz was a very specific bankruptcy where they had a transient issue, right? There are bankruptcies like Bed Bath & Beyond. Don't get me wrong, Bed Bath & Beyond's bankruptcy was exacerbated by the pandemic, but it had fundamental issues with the business model. These were not going away, and they were only going to get worse over time. Fewer people shopping brick and mortar retail, category killers being destroyed by Amazon, stuff like that. Hertz had a transient business issue, meaning it was temporary. It was something they could get through, that being the pandemic. They're a rental car company. So during the pandemic, when fewer people are traveling, they were struggling, right? So they entered a reorganization bankruptcy in order to reorganize, sell some stuff, and weather the storm. As COVID lockdowns ceased and people started going back to normal, more or less, their business went back to normal. They were also helped by the fact that they had a large inventory of vehicles. And this was a time period where used car prices were very high. They might still be. I don't know the market for used cars at the moment. But I do know that at the point that Hertz was doing that, the used car market was like really jacked up. So they were in an issue where they weren't having cash coming in necessarily because of the pandemic, but they had many illiquid assets in their vehicles. So while they're in the bankruptcy, they were able to turn those vehicles into liquidity by selling them into the market. They were able to weather this like transient business issue because it was temporary, and they were able to weather the storm. So anyway, after that happened and they were able to clear up their issues at the end of that bankruptcy, holders of that stock were issued new equity. Again, because they had money, because Hertz had money at the time. BBBY did not. That's the difference. They keep trying to bring up Hertz because, very specifically, Hertz is an outlier. Most bankruptcies don't go that way, right? Hertz is an outlier, so they bring it up because they need Bed Bath to be an outlier for them to win. So they'll say, look at this extraordinary event. Since it's hypothetically possible, if we ignore all the context, maybe that could happen to us. There ain't no rule that says a dog can't play basketball. Airbud logic.
Then they gave shares the next day, except for ours just got delayed because it got caught up in court.
Nope.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I mean, I think all this stuff is kind of been taken care of in the bankruptcy court, in the light of day. You know, I mean, that's the whole point of bankruptcy proceedings, is that all of this shit is disposed of in the light of day, you know, under the auspices of a court.
Well,
and,
I will say,
for somebody to come in for some secret shit to have been going
hold
on this whole time would be beyond the pale.
Hold on. Ryan Cohen is being sued in court, and he had to submit non-public information to the judge according to his...
Yes, he's being sued for pumping and dumping you guys, allegedly.
His pump and dump lawsuit. I think that there's something else.
I also forgot to mention this. DK Butterfly, the entity that used to be Bed Bath & Beyond, is suing Ryan Cohen now. So that's fun.
We're going to go ahead and let Pete do some closing thoughts. Go ahead, Blur, and then let's let Pete give some closing thoughts tonight.
Oh yeah, hey, what's up, Pete? Long time no see. Hey, Bed Bath Beyond, this is a fiasco, am I right?
Yeah, something like that.
The one thing I'm gonna bring up too is the fact that Salvatore is known for speaking on this, but essentially, you know,
Salvatore is an idiot.
Sue Gov back in January, working with Lazar as well as 6th Street and all these other folks before they went into bankruptcy. There was over 150 interested parties with 20 qualified.
To be clear, interested parties are people who have an interest in the bankruptcy, as in Ryan Cohen is an interested party because he's being sued in relation to this. It's basically people being CC'd or included in things. That doesn't mean they're interested in the success of the business. It just means like, hey, here's our people that are relevant to this lawsuit.
Qualifier bidder requirements. Are you telling me like we go through all this just for it to all just be for fucking nothing at the end of the day?
Yes.
As well as, for example, the FTDs. It like recently, it was showing like shares of Bed Bath Beyond were being bought and sold even in October, and the FTDs at the end that just came out still to this day look outrageous. To me, even if it's just a shell company looking to have their shares revitalized,
why would they do that? They have nothing of value.
The shorts have to close.
The shorts are all closed. The stock doesn't exist. They just repeat mantras. The Knowles.
For example, based off them being reimbursed back or resurrected or reincarnated, where the fuck the actual proper phraseology is called, do you yourself think that's not worth something more potentially? Or do you just think...
Knowles, NOLs, net operating losses, they can be used to offset future taxable income for a company.
Oh, it's over, there's no chance.
I think it's over, and that there's no chance, and that there's a lot of misinformation that's going on.
Watch, this is the part where PP pushes him off as soon as he starts mentioning disinformation or misinformation. Watch this.
Out on behalf of DD writers.
PP immediately looks agitated. Focus on PP as he's talking. Focus on PP.
No chance, and that there's a lot of misinformation that's going out on behalf of DD writers, and that I think that for... for this community, that it's time to own up and start kind of like cleaning up and picking up the pieces.
All right, give us some closing
all right, shut the fuck up, Pete. I'm trying to get my bag.
thoughts.
All right, there's nothing wrong with taking an L. And
he's not even gonna let him have a full closing statement, by the way. He's just gonna slap him off.
In addition to that, the PP show is a good community, and there's a broad world of stocks out there, and you don't always have to win, but you always have to learn something and take something away from it if you're wrong, and
hit that vape, peeps.
And it's just part of life, and it's all right.
And there's where he cut him off.
Hey, Pete.
All right, Bill. Yeah, but
That
on
was
the other
not-
angle, corruption and crime. Corruption and crime. Let's fucking.
Hey,
Bill,
So things are going great over there. Oh, let's see what else you guys sent. This is called the Nephilim Clown Connection in 15 minutes.
I want you to get together.
Something you had said on your show with Sam that really blew my mind was how the enemy will like use costumes to channel demons. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Like, we're just on the other side of Halloween, and I know that's a big debate amongst Christians too. Like, should we celebrate Halloween? Like, is it innocent? Is it not innocent? You know, but I had never really thought about
the things people waste their time arguing about.
that dressing like something could be an invitation for them to come like into your body. So yeah, if you just want to talk about that a little.
So if I dress like a tiefling, it'll invite them to enter my body? Noted.
Sure, so this is what's known throughout most cultures as a form of ancestor spirit worship. And this is how I've described it, and this is how it's well understood to be in mainly countries that have these very old folk traditions on every continent. It's kind of the oldest tradition usually, and it's not really rooted necessarily in religions. It's rooted in like an old verbal kind of ritual that tribes have done forever, you know, and
You're literally just describing people having costuming? That's not evil, that's just a thing humans do because we're creative and have culture.
sometimes they get spiritualized by new religions that come along throughout history, you know, and things get tagged along, but the
New religions, as opposed to...
roots are pretty much the same. So
I assume the implicit there was, as opposed to Christianity, which is, of course, the oldest religion. It's not even close to that.
there's two ways it's done by most of these cultures. Either they dress like something in order to channel that thing and gain something from it for the tribe. Either a shaman is allocated to do this specifically within a tribe, or it's a free-for-all and anybody and everybody can all do it at once. It really doesn't matter. The end goal's the same. It's to channel the entity, and what they often dress like in all these different cultures, as I've shown in my series, is they have very...
I was gonna have you play your first Bethesda game. Maybe not a Bethesda... Well, they published it. Fallout New Vegas is pretty good. I enjoy Fallout New Vegas. I like Elder Scrolls Oblivion. Skyrim's the most popular one. It's very open to... It's streamlined. If you want an experience that you can get into it and it's all very explainable and easy to get into, Skyrim. Oblivion's my personal favorite one, but it's dated if you've not played, you know, a game from that period. But I like Oblivion. New Vegas is great, though. Do not start with Morrowind unless you hate yourself and want to hate Bethesda games. That's a terrible decision. Never tell someone to start with Morrowind in 2022.
It's a very similar thread weaving through, and it's usually they white the skin up with some kind of chalk or paint. They add red lines or patterns or polka dots to the skin. They put on some kind of...
I think you're very broadly speaking. There's different makeups for different things. You're very specifically going to be cherry picking people who have costuming or traditions that involve white face paint and maybe red. You're cherry picking is what I'm trying to say.
A red feathered headdress or anything to make the hair look darker red, or some kind of multicolored. A huge golden crown with many embellishments all over it is common as well. And they wear extremely colorful psychedelic clothing. Now, what I've pretty much described...
Psychedelic?
There is
It's colorful? You think that things being colorful is inherently psychedelic? Oh my god.
Clown by a Western standard, but they all have their own stylistic, aesthetical differences.
Man, it's almost like you're trying to combine... How do I put this? What he's doing is, you know, the world is full of religions and cultures and all sorts of different things. He has put himself and his beliefs at the center. I would assume Christianity, because the clip at the beginning was Christian. I don't know, though. Let's assume Christianity in this case. And he's saying, all right, My thing's obviously correct. So let's throw a circle around my thing. Everything outside of this circle, how can I explain these entirely holistically as if they are all part of the same exact system with the same origin? He's trying to explain away the diversity of culture and beliefs throughout the world because it's devastating to his worldview if people just have a wide variety of beliefs naturally. It has implications for his own beliefs and makes you maybe question, well, if every culture around the world has its own beliefs and they're kind of not arbitrary, but not necessarily always in line with reality, what does that say about your own beliefs? Recognizing cultural relativism can be devastating to people who feel that their culture and beliefs are objectively right and true, and their identities are built around that. So they end up doing this. They draw a circle around their own thing, and then everything outside it is a part of the same other.
Culturally relevant to each individual area. So, you know, they're talking about the same creatures they call...
They're not. There aren't. Human beings have supernatural beliefs. We just do. You know? It's not something I love about humans, you know? Obviously, I spend a lot of my time as a human talking about and trying to debunk supernatural beliefs. But nonetheless, it is clear that it is something in our behavior, in our brains, that we evolved to do. It's useful. That doesn't mean it's always right. Not everything that is objectively, factually correct, you know, is always the most useful when we're talking about this, and not everything that's useful is always factually correct, right? But for whatever reason, humans developed culture and religions, and beliefs and traditions based on those beliefs. And here we are. That doesn't mean they're all talking about the same thing. It more so just means that, you know, human beings have a propensity for creating mythology. It's what we're good at. We're storytellers. Our lives are built on narrative about ourselves, each other, the world. It's the entire framework for our lives. Our operating system is basically narrative.
Ancestor spirits, because what they're referring to...
Is this ethnocentrism? Probably.
Is not ancestors as we, with the English language, would consider that word to be. That's just kind of the only word we have for it, but it's not really what they mean. They don't mean grandma or granddad or your great uncles and aunties from the 1800s or something like that. They mean the ancient ones, the ones who built their culture and civilization that go way back. You know, the ones who built everything that they...
I don't understand why you think that those things are disparate concepts, as if people who speak English don't have a concept of ancestors that goes back to a pseudo-mythological framework. Look at the United States and how we talk about the quote-unquote founding fathers. See what I mean? It's like he's trying to take very human behaviors, in this case, the way that we sometimes revere and mythologize people long past who were considered progenitors and framers of our society and cultures. We tend to elevate those to mythological status. That's not some sort of thing exclusive to, like, non-English speaking people.
Worldview.
He just doesn't want to recognize that he is also a participant in that
structure.
Fuck, look at even, like, the UK. Literally, the UK's, like, history, when you go back far enough, is mytho-historical tales of fucking King Arthur and the Round Table fighting dragons, you know what I mean?
Creators of
like,
their
sure,
reality.
These might be based on vague things that kind of happened. But obviously they've been elevated over the years to the point of mythology. This is not specific to any group of people or exclusive to any. It's so bad. This is just racist.
The ancient kings and rulers, the only spirits, as I explained earlier, that are actually on the other side for them to channel the December.
Is that Pikachu? Kind of looks a little bit like Pikachu. Like if you told, like, Chat GPT or something, like, make me an image of Pikachu, but he's in the Blair Witch Project.
Bodied spirits of the Nephilim from the biblical perspective, but they call them their ancestors. So like I said, they all dress in the same way.
Is this live? You mean like right now? Me? Yes. This guy? No. Me though? Yeah.
Clown in some level of... They all have their own levels of doing that. So that's one way of doing it. They dress like the thing to channel the thing. That is pretty much the most powerful, common used way of doing it. One really obvious example.
Hold on, let me do some too. If we're doing, different religions or belief systems and the outfits they wear and trying to act as though it's like evil or weird, do we want to look at the history of Christianity and various Christian sects and the different clothing that have been used to signify like religious belief and religious ceremony or religious position of power within those structures? Oh no, you don't want to do that. You don't want to talk about how this is literally the same shit. You want to act like it's a different thing to justify your weird ethnocentric worldview? I would say cool beans, but it's not cool beans. Go fuck yourself. Very uncool beans, sir. You can get fucked.
Which I think a lot of people
Hey
know
Fenigagami,
about,
how's it going?
is the Haiti, the Vodou culture in Haiti. They dress like something called Baron Samedi.
Oh god.
And it's a particular Iwa or god of their pantheon, the father god or the son of the father god, Papa Legba. And it comes from an ancient African ancestor spirit worship culture, which went over to Haiti and then mixed with like French Catholicism and Freemasonry. So it became this very strange looking ritualistic thing where they specifically dress like these Iwa.
As opposed to this guy's religion, which is objectively not silly.
To channel them in order to gain strength, power, and fortune. And the famous image is the cane top hat wearing, skull-faced.
I think out of all of the religions I'm aware of, voodoo has the most badass looking shit. I'm just gonna say that.
Man with a cigar and some whiskey. Now, they drink the whiskey and smoke the cigar because that's what the demon enjoys having. That's their offering to them. And they do it with the sole intention to be possessed by the spirit of Baron Samedi. And they're open about it. They tell you that's
pronounced Samdi.
What we're doing this for. But in quite a lot of cultures, they have this other thing. It's called apotropaic. That's the way you describe this practice, and it's the idea that you can dress like the thing to scare it away or to ward bad spirits off. You dress like them to confuse them or something like that. And the video I'm making currently goes...
This hood literally looks like a Christian hood I've seen, or a Catholic hood. Hold on. Christian hood. Not hoodies. Hood. Oh, of course that's someone's name. That would be someone's name, Christian Hood. That makes sense. Christian Hood. Costume. Oh, that's not even the one I'm thinking of. What's the one that unfortunately kind of looks like a KKK thing? It's not, but it looks like it. Is that in Roman, or rather Russian Orthodoxy? Hold on. Russian Orthodox clothing. Let's take a look in a book. Reading Rainbow. Reading Rainbow. This isn't the one I was thinking of, but further evidence to the fact that different religions and cultures just like costumes. Guys, we like costumes. Costumes are fun. The Spain thing, that's probably what I'm thinking of. Spain, white hoods. Let's look. There it is. Yeah. This predates, my understanding is this predates the KKK, so like, you know, this isn't their fault. It's just the robes they wear for this particular religious thing, you know, look very similar to the KKK. It's unfortunate.
Goes into this heavily and shows a lot of these Eastern cultures who believe that
Eastern cultures. This guy sucks. I'm bookmarking this channel because this is obviously a Tinfoil Tuesday thing. Saved.
Doing this to scare away the spirits. I contend that's just stupid. That does not make any sense. Dressing like a demon.
Wait a minute, you're telling me that human religions don't always make sense? Oh my god. So what? Yeah, and yeah, they're cultural and spiritual beliefs. Like, if they all made sense, they'd just be reality. They wouldn't be in this separate section of, like, religion and spiritual beliefs. They would just be, you know, facts that everyone more or less agrees on.
In the physical realm, he's not going to scare away a demon in the physical realm. Give them some credit. They're not that stupid, like we said earlier.
He knows how demons work, because his religion that also believes that demons are real isn't silly like this. He knows from his religion, which is totes real guys, that demons don't work like this. You know, demons that are definitely real that he believes in.
Earlier, they are thousands of years old. You know, I do think there's a bit of a long con going on here. I think this is the idea that if we can convince these cultures that they have any form of control over us, then it keeps them thinking they have a level of power, therefore we can stick around, you know.
Oh, this is real bad.
And we'll pretend to be scared away.
This guy appears to be in a paranoid conspiratorial state where he thinks that everyone else in the world of different cultures and religions are secretly conspiring to control him, and that's not true or healthy.
So then they can keep dressing like us and keep those channels open. You know, I think that's really what's going on, and I've had a few messages where people are from these cultures are getting offended at me saying these things.
From these cultures? Good God.
It's not like I'm not trying to cause offense by saying...
You are so fucking racist and, like, you're so xenophobic. This is terrible. And if he sees this, and if this is a genuine mistake, oh boy, you know, if you're willing to admit fault here, you are forgiven. If you are genuinely willing to admit what you did wrong here. But here's the thing, you're doing something wrong. You are doing something very wrong, and maybe it's just out of ignorance. I hope it's simply out of ignorance. But this is bad. This is real bad. You're looking at any culture that's different than your own and assuming it's evil or conspiring against you or working with demons. No, don't do that. That's fucked up. That's evil. You're the evil one. Surprise! That's the M. Night Shyamalan twist. The evil was coming from in the house. When a Stranger Calls would have been a better reference.
You know, but it just seems like obvious from my opinion, from my perspective and my research, because there are plenty of these other cultures who do dress like demons with the sole purpose to be possessed by them. They're not scaring anything away.
I saved this guy, so I'm just gonna end that segment now because he's making me mad. I'm sure we'll cover him again on Tinfoil Tuesday, though, when I have more bandwidth for the bullshit. Oh god, one of you guys posted a new video from Taquan. What did he do? What did he do now?
I think we had a little delay right there. What's going on? What's up, family? How y'all doing? What's going on? What's going on? I want a couple of y'all to get up in here first. We're gonna start 1 minute and 30 seconds.
He always does that. 1:30 is usually where he starts. I'll give him consistency.
And to hold this phone up so I can explain to y'all just a little bit more in detail on what's going on and how you can go about this process as well. Hold on. Give me 1 second, family. Hold on, family. Hold on. 1 second. Shoot.
Bandwidth for the bullshit. It's actually funny. I'm getting too good at seeing bullshit. I was literally reading a book earlier titled Bullshit, and it's all about how you shouldn't fall for bullshit. And there was a section where the guy was talking about something, and I was like, that's not true, and I looked it up, and it turned out that was bullshit. I was literally reading a book about a guy who wrote a book about how not to fall for bullshit, and an entire section in the book was bullshit. He's dead now, so I can't email him. I'm sad.
Alright, okay, look, we're gonna start it like this. All right. What's good, family? So look, I'm gonna explain something, right? So me and my
Anyway, so maybe I'll write a book better than that someday.
family appreciate.
Who's he? This is a guy that we cover sometimes on Sovereign Citizen Days. He is a scammer, alleged scammer, who basically teaches people fraud, allegedly.
Hey, fam. So me and my family, we just closed on a new house out here in the outskirts of Houston. And so I want to explain something, right? Because, you know, I never knew nothing about mortgages until this year, right? So when
Reminder that this is a guy, again, if you haven't seen me cover him, I guess I should briefly explain. His name is Taquan. Taquan scams for a living. He wouldn't describe it like that, but I would. He uses what he calls, and what is called by scammers, CPNs. Credit privacy numbers, credit something numbers. What it stands for changes depending on the person, but it's a CPN. They claim that these are numbers that you can use instead of your social security number in order to apply for loans, apply for, you know, a mortgage or a job or a car loan, and that, you know, it's all perfectly legal. It's not. There's no such thing as a CPN. CPNs aren't a real thing. It's literally just someone else's social security number. So he, maybe not even he, but there are people online who will quote-unquote sell you CPNs. If you ever see someone trying to sell you that, or hear someone in your family or friend group saying, oh yeah, I've been looking into the CPN thing, or I bought a CPN, please inform them that what they have actually done is fallen for a scam where they have bought a stolen social security number from someone. So if they go through with trying to use it, they can be arrested because it is a felony. So, he does that. He does the sovereign citizen stuff. He thinks all of this is fine and legal and he's going to get away with it. He has, according to him, allegedly stolen hundreds of thousands of dollars from banks by applying for lines of credit or getting car loans fraudulently with fake numbers and fake identities, and then turning around using the credit lines or credit cards in order to buy a bunch of stuff like iPads, iPhones, then selling them, you know, like a scam, and then he just ditches the card and doesn't ever pay it back and never intends to pay it back because it's a scam. He's basically robbing the bank via fraud. He openly admits this in his videos. It's just a thing he does.
When I actually went through the process, I'm gonna tell y'all something, right? Getting a mortgage is fun, you know, because you get a new house and everything.
Did you just say getting a mortgage is fun? Oh my god.
Like that, but
in my experience, getting a house can be fun. I would not describe the mortgage process as fun.
partially, it's two sides to the whole thing, right? One side is like you selling your damn soul to the bank. Because a lot of things that we always used to argue, you know, like us, like secure party.
I'm curious what he's going to do here. He must actually be planning on paying this house off, right? Because, like, you know, when he fraudulently applies for, like, credit cards and stuff and then just doesn't pay them, he's giving them false information, you know, it's illegal, it's a felony, and no one should do it. But, you know, he's mobile. Even with a vehicle fraud loan, you know, you can drive the car wherever you want and hide it. You can't really do that with a mortgage loan, because the house kind of just is where it is, you know? The property that you bought, that the house is on, is stationary relative to, you know, the adjacent lots. So, like, he must actually be planning on paying this, right? Because if not, you can't just run from this. It's a house. I don't know the status of his trial. I don't know if he ran or what. No idea.
Creditors or those who know about credit, we always used to use this term and argue and say it's illegal for the banks to report any negative items on your credit without your consent.
I'm sorry, what did you just say?
Use this term and argue and say it's illegal for the banks to report any negative items on your credit without your consent.
I don't think that's true. I don't know that to be a fact, but I don't think that's true. You don't have to give consent for things to be like the credit bureaus are private businesses, and so are banks. They can share information with each other.
They have this shit.
Like, that's their whole job, is to have this information, whether you want them to or not. That's the point of credit bureaus.
Detail, right? To a point.
Like, if you had to consent, then everyone would have perfect credit, right?
That you cannot avoid it, right? So, let me cover some up. Let me cover some up, right? Because I want y'all to read the form yourself. I'm gonna show y'all right now, right? Boom, property address. Let me just cover this and the loan number. But besides that, I want y'all to read this, right? So look, y'all see this? Oh shit. All right, y'all see this? Notice of furnishing negative information, right? So if y'all read that notice of furnishing negative information, you will actually read that they have the right to report negative items on your report, which
they do. That's why it's a notice and not a consent form. It's a notice, not a form that's like, hey, can we do this? It's a notice. Do you understand the difference?
Your consent. So mortgage loans is a little bit more thorough with their process. So many people who trying to skip over mortgages and say, hey, you can just take it off your credit with an FTC report. That process, hell no. That's what I know. It's not that easy. Like, you can get it off, but it's not that easy.
Why would you not want your mortgage on a credit report unless you're scamming? You know what I mean? Like, for me, like, my mortgage on my credit report, I think, is a good thing, because it shows that a bank trusted me to, give me a loan, and I have never missed a payment, Like, I am paying my mortgage month to month, as you do when you can. I've been fortunate enough in that's never been an issue. In fairness, that comes first. I think that's responsible, right? The mortgage payment comes first, because, like, just thinking about it, that's an asset at least. If anything horrible happened to me, at least it's an asset that I've paid into that I could theoretically, if I needed to, get some sort of equity loan or worst case sell and get some money. Anyway, that's just whatever. The point is, it's weird that you're trying to not report your mortgage. That is incredibly sus. It's like, mortgages, if you get one, are like a very stable thing, if you're responsible, that hopefully you're able to make payments on every single month. So that should look good on your credit report. If you're trying to not have it on there, if I'm the bank, I'm going, I'm not giving you a mortgage. What the fuck are you planning on doing?
How a person on TV.
How can you get a mortgage without a credit check? He probably did. He probably just... What do I want to say? Maybe not probably. He may have, considering his entire job appears to be scamming and doing credit fraud using what he calls CPNs. Again, it's just synthetic identity fraud. He might have just used a number that wasn't his real credit number. He might have not actually used a social security number. He may have created a false identity and then gotten a loan out under that.
Just talk to y'all and just tell y'all that it's that easy. No, it's not that easy. Because a lot of documentation that they have you sign, it's certain waivers inside of a mortgage that you purposely and voluntarily enter into with full knowledge. You get what I'm saying? So
yes, a mortgage contract is a large legal document that stipulates all of the things about the mortgage. Congrats. You understand how contracts work?
You can easily dispute a mortgage contract, but I'm just saying...
Easily? Easily? Wow, look at this guy. He's a regular Saul Goodman over here. He knows all the laws.
Through my process with it, with my experience, it's crazy, right? So, let me explain something, right? My position on getting a mortgage is not the average person position. So you might have, let's just say this, you got two sides of the spectrum. Let's go to the left side. The left side, you got the sovereign, Moorish American, Native American, diaspora of thinking, right? There's nothing wrong.
When he says Native American, he doesn't actually mean indigenous peoples of the United States. he means like sovereign citizen stuff.
With it, actually, it's accurate, but it's just in that diaspora things, right? So you got some people argue, man, this is our land. We are the Native Americans to this land. Our people are indigenous. We should not be paying anything
more citizen stuff
back. Our land is rightfully ours and everything like that.
For those who don't watch some of the stuff I do on more citizens, there's a subgroup of sovereign citizens that are typically black Americans that, how do I put this? It's a conspiracy theory that says that the transatlantic slave trade wasn't real, and that actually the reason that there are, you know, people of color, or I guess I should say specifically like, you know, people of African descent, black Americans basically, they think that in lieu of the transatlantic slave trade, the reality is that they were already here and that they secretly were the indigenous people of the United States, and they think by plying that they can get around laws, which is weird for multiple reasons. First of all, obviously, the transatlantic slave trade very much happened. It's horrific and one of the most awful things human beings have done to each other. There's a lot of documentation, you know? It was a business for centuries. There was endless documentation about the slave trade. We know it happened, we know when, we know why, we know how. But on top of that, if they even did actually think they were indigenous people of the United States, do they know how badly the United States treats indigenous peoples and people groups? They don't get special treatment. Quite the opposite. They're treated very poorly and treated as second-class citizens, historically and currently. So it's multiple layers of removed from reality.
Yeah, okay, you could, right? Okay.
It kind of relies on a just world fallacy, you know? Like, oh, if we're indigenous, that means we have certain inalienable rights. Like in a just world, sure, indigenous people would have that, but we don't live in a just world and people are fucked up. So even if you were actually indigenous, the government isn't gonna just, like, let you do whatevs.
Now, when you do that, right, you making a challenge. So you pretty much challenging the bank, claiming that this is your property. And there's been many cases that
okay, you lose.
One.
Here is the mortgage paperwork you signed. It very explicitly is designed. It's funny that sometimes plans like this and what he is saying implies that no one has ever tried this before. Like he thinks there aren't decades and decades and decades of banks writing mortgage contracts and having to deal with loony people who try and do all sorts of underhanded shit in order to get away from their financial obligations. They've thought of it. Whatever scheme you think you have to get out of paying your mortgage, they've thought of it. Because someone else did it. Or tried to do it. You're not getting out of it. You signed a mortgage agreement. Pay your mortgage. Or sell the house. Or default on the mortgage. There's no version of this where you get to keep the house that you're refusing to pay for. And also, like, you know, get to not pay. You can't have your cake and eat it too.
A mortgage case, right? I'm not disputing that. Now, with that side, you pretty much just stuck within that property. So if you got a home, you fighting for that home, right? Okay. Now, on my side, right, you got a flip side to it. On my side, I don't necessarily look at a mortgage like that. You want me to tell you why? Because I'll try to look at the totality of things, right? Because me understanding, right, if you guys, any of you guys who ever purchased my EIN tutorial, I actually talk about certain data points to have on your profile. Now, the certain data points that the banks look for is actually a mortgage. Remember, I explained that already, right? Because what you do is you pretty much enhancing your profile even more, and you make your profile even
enhancing your profile is a really interesting way to describe fraud? I'm not lying about my credit history or manufacturing a fake synthetic credit history. I'm enhancing my profile.
You get what I'm saying? So that would be the credit side. So the credit side is we get a mortgage, we obtain credit, we constantly
I didn't know that, Jen. That's
get
funny.
more and more credit, and we utilize the banks to our own advantage. And that's how you will reach the highest level of financial freedom. So with a person who just want to discharge one mortgage, you still got to go through those late payment processes. You still got to go through that process where you in default status. You still got to go through the foreclosure, right? So
I was gonna say, does he think? It sounded for a second like he thought if he could discharge the mortgage, then you're gonna get to keep the house.
At that time, you are losing money, right? Now you might get the property, but my goal is to obtain the wealth and the financial freedom and the building of the credit. You get what I'm saying? So that's the flip side. Like I said, it's two sides to this whole spectrum. So you can decide which route you want to go. I got students of mine that ain't paid a mortgage in 2 years. And they put their property under a trust name, so the banks couldn't even file for an eviction to get that person out the house because that person's name is not even on the deed. So that's a quick finesse on the mortgage side.
They're gonna get you out. I assure you. The apparatus of the banks and their relation to, like, sending to, for instance, the police. Like, hey, here are all our defaults. Please go evict these people. I assure you, not even gonna hiccup. They are gonna come to your house and get you out of the house if you were evicted. Like, that's just what's gonna happen.
That right? Now for me, my goal is, okay, you got, so say for instance, the mortgage is $439,000, man, right? So a $439,000 mortgage, just imagine you positively paying that on your credit report. So it's nothing to go inside of a dealership and, hey, you want a Lamborghini Urus. The Lamborghini Urus is what, $293,000? You take that $290.
How does he make money? Scams. He commits synthetic identity fraud, opens credit cards, buys a bunch of stuff on them, and then sells the stuff and never pays back the cards.
$3,000 Lamborghini Urus with no payment down, and you rent it.
He also sells people a program of, like, quote-unquote advice on how to do this yourself. He's a grifter and a grifter guru who tries to teach other people for money to grift themselves.
Out every single day for $500, and that's $1,500 passively every single month. So that's my whole thought pattern when it comes to this type of stuff, right? So let me explain some more things, right? Now, the flip side to what we thought the mortgage can do. Let's talk about the EIN, right? Initially, with buying a mortgage, right? With buying a mortgage, like getting a property, you can't use an EIN.
Buying a mortgage. You buy property with a mortgage. You apply for a mortgage. A mortgage is a loan. The property is the property.
I'm gonna tell you why you couldn't use an EIN. Because every mortgage processor and every loan processor all run SSN verification. And not only do they run it, they make sure that it come back accurate every time.
Man, it's almost like they don't want people committing fraud. Can you imagine? Isn't that so inconvenient for him and his audience?
You are using a social security number. They not lenient with ITIN numbers. They not lenient with foreign tax numbers. They not lenient with any of those.
Do we have proof he does all this stuff? Not necessarily. He could be lying, which would be weird. Lying about grifting in order to grift others? Certainly possible. But I don't know how else. Let me put it this way. He has shown product that he has allegedly bought with fraudulent credit cards that he later flips. In one case, it was printer scanners. They were, like, relatively expensive office, like, printer scanners, right? And he claimed he bought them with fraudulent credit card, and he basically talked about how he set up an Amazon profile to sell them and how much he sold them for and how much money he made.
Especially depending on what.
So, like, he has shown that stuff, but do I have, like, proof that he's, filed? I don't have his, like, applications for credit to prove that, but he's on the internet claiming it. And to be honest, I don't think he seems... I don't think that this is sophisticated enough where he is, like, doing a double trick. Like, he's tricking people into thinking he's scamming just to sell people fake programs. I don't think it's that sophisticated. I think he's literally just doing crimes and also wants to teach people how to do crimes. Now, in fairness, I don't think he takes this seriously at all. Like, I've looked into him, and, like, his dad taught him all this. Like, if you go to, like, I'm not gonna say specifics, but if you find his, like, personal stuff, you can see that his dad also did this, that his dad went to prison, got out relatively recently. He posts about, like, how his dad taught him everything he knows and how he misses his dad and stuff. So, I just think it's something that he was taught, and he doesn't realize how fucked up this is, or, like, how much trouble he will be in when he is inevitably caught.
What type of mortgage company you go through.
Like, it's just very normalized to him.
You get what I'm saying? So that's one thing that I always explain to people. I said, look, you can get anything with the EIN besides the mortgage, right? So by me using the EIN, my EIN, I always use for credit cards, auto loans, and bank accounts, and etc. And that separates me from the social. And I still got bank accounts with my EIN. Now, the flip side
EIN is a business number, by the way, for tax purposes.
Was
he uses those in CPNs.
The real estate.
He's not supposed to be using them for what he's using. He's creating EINs specifically to create, like, isolated credit profiles to commit fraud, so that once he, you know, gets a bunch of stuff using that EIN, charges up a bunch of credit cards, he abandons that EIN.
Aspect. Because you can't just get through...
And then makes a new one, so he can keep scamming.
Just get through these processes using the, just with the EIN. You need the social on this one. So it's twofold, right? Because me...
Hope his kids can get themselves out of this cycle and don't end up doing the same thing. Agreed. It's like generational trauma and generational, like, abuse. It sucks.
I use my EIN
and it sucks too, because, like, from where he used to live, because he filmed in his old place, you know, he has a nice place. Like, I understand, I'm not justifying it, but I can at least in theory understand someone who's desperate doing something illegal in order to get a leg up in life, because life is hard and unfair, and people who, like, are born on the bottom rung of society economically don't have the resources or the opportunities to, like, you know, do other things. So sometimes people fall into doing, like, illegal or immoral things in order to try and get somewhere in life. The thing is, he definitely got to the point a while back, based on where he was living and his cars and stuff, where, like, alright, you can parlay this success into, like, legitimate business now. Like, I'm not saying he doesn't need to get caught for the things he's done that are illegal. He should. But at the very least, wouldn't you think that at some point you'd go, okay, I escaped poverty, and now I have the resources where I can either, you know, find a different job or take the capital that I've gained from the scamming and put it into actual business. Like, if he wants to flip stuff, like buy bulk electronics and then sell them, he could do that legitimately. It's just less profitable because, you know, you're actually spending money and buying things legally as opposed to scamming banks into letting you, you know, steal stuff by committing credit fraud. Sucks. Yes, I did see God's Gang.
My social. Not for the mortgage, not for this mortgage. I use strictly the social because I couldn't get by with the EIN. Trust me. I got plenty of resources as far as the people out there giving me the information on this that telling me, hey, you can't use it. Why? Because they run SSN verification. And in the pre-docs, when you fill out for a mortgage, they're going to give you a form that say SSA verification. And they don't just have you sign it and keep going. No. They have you sign it and the underwriter is already verifying if that social is yours. And
does Daquan understand that, like, the reason that they're so stringent and, like, careful about this and double check it is because scammers like himself make them have to do that? Like, does he get it?
They don't want an I-10 number either. An I-10 number is only for working purposes. They want everybody to have a mortgage, right? But you gotta know how to use it. Most students that I deal with, right? A lot of them have a mortgage. Now, most people that you will see who want to learn more about discharging debt, they want to learn how to discharge their mortgage. They already put themselves.
Yeah, we do YouTube sometimes. Thursdays usually, but this Thursday was Thanksgiving, so we're doing it today. After this stream, though, we are going to do... I'm going to do a Doctor Who stream on Twitch. We're just going to be fans and talk about Doctor Who since it's, like, 2 days ago was the 60th anniversary of Doctor Who. So I wanted to talk about it and stuff.
always the
That'll be a nice cleanse after all the scamminess and conspiracies and stuff this stream.
bottom. So you might as well go with,
At least if you're a Doctor Who fan or interested in me talking about Doctor Who.
the Moorish American thought to say, hey, let's just discharge this. We are native to this land. But you're missing millions and millions of dollars on a potential amount of credit that you can obtain just by having this on your report. Now, another thing that I also explained to you guys before I get into all the house stuff, this is facts that you need to just, understand. The way the banks judge you, right? They always looking for some sort of installment debt that's on your credit report, whether you're using a social, an EIN number, an ITIN number, a CPN number, and etc. They want to know, do you have any installment accounts? Yes, authorized users are good, right? But you at least need to have an installment on your credit. If you have an auto loan under the EIN number, that is considered an installment. If you're paying back a personal loan, that is considered an installment loan. If you're paying back a house note, a mortgage, that is an installment, right? So we still got to learn how to actually use your credit profile. You need to learn how to use it. You get what I'm saying? So most people who do want to go with the process of just discharging their mortgage, you can, but you missed out on millions of dollars, right? And if those who want to pay it and actually benefit, because there's a million ways you can scan a cake. So with my process, right? So I'm gonna be showing you guys step by step on what steps I'm taking, because remember, I used the EIN for years. This time I'm using the social. I use both. One minute I use the EIN, one minute I use the social, because I never, ever, ever told you guys never use your social. I always told you guys if you want to use your social, you can. But most people mess themselves up with their social, right? So they went and got a private number, and it's okay. You get your EIN number, you operate in the private, and you stay away from that, okay? And then you got the social. Most people just get the social. Most people want to get the EIN because they jag the social. So if you got a lot of debt, you got a lot of collections and everything like that, you go the EIN route. But if your social good, you can use that. Or you can say, hey, I don't even want to touch my social. I want to just go straight to the EIN. You can do that as well. That's what I did, because my social wasn't bad. I never had student loan debt or anything like that. But I chose to take that private credit route just in case I come into a couple loops where I don't want to be responsible for the debt. I don't want the debt coming back.
You are responsible for all of the debt you take out. Scamming doesn't make it not your responsibility.
To my social person.
See what I mean? Like, it's so frustrating because, like, he doesn't take this seriously. I don't think he understands how illegal and how much trouble he will be in when this inevitably catches up to him. He's just so blasé about it. Like, whatever, as if everyone does this. It's mind-boggling.
So, hey, I chose to use the EIN. Now, the only difference between the two is when you use the EIN and you use the social, you gotta understand this. You can't fuck up with that social. You can mess up with that EIN. You can mess up with that CPN. You can mess up with that I-10. You mess up with that damn social, you gotta get yourself out the water. Because now it's like, all right, okay, now you put yourself down. Now you gotta get yourself all the way back up.
Yes, that's how it's supposed to work. Everyone is supposed to have one social security number that is tied to a credit report or credit reports. There are multiple agencies, but they're similar. And then that's it. You're supposed to have a credit profile. That is how it works. When you are trying to operate outside of it the way he is doing by committing fraud, it's a felony. He didn't learn, like, one cool trick they don't want you to know. It's crime.
Does EIN route still work? Of course it still works. I still use my EIN.
By the way, if you ever Google, and I'm done with this video, we get it. You can, like, Google CPN arrest, and oh my god, do you know how many people get arrested for doing this shit all the time? It's like a huge issue. This has become, like, an epidemic in some areas, to the point where, like, they're actively doing stings against it. That's how bad it is.
Only on Tuesday night, the Houston Police Department and some local car dealerships are using next-level technology to stop fraudsters in their tracks. These ID scanning devices, they are now catching criminals who try to con their way into cars they have no intention of paying for. KPRC2's Andy Sirota is live east of downtown with that story. And Andy, 2 of those arrests just happened.
Keith, that's right. These accused serial fraudsters try to get as many vehicles as they can using fake or stolen personal information. Technology now playing a more prominent role in helping police arrest them on the spot.
Is Houston where he moved to? That's kind of funny if it is. Sorry, didn't mean to hit that button.
KPRC2 has reported extensively on...
No, this is from a year ago. This isn't about him, though it might be soon if he tries this shit in this city. That's funny.
Serial fraudsters taking a deep dive into their elaborate scheme of recruiting people to help them buy vehicles from area dealerships using fake or stolen ID cards. Jeremy Phipps and Jericka Sanders, 2 of the latest, Houston police say, to be caught in the act.
The dealership has sensed something was wrong and then contact us. We verify something's wrong and then we send patrol units out to make the arrest.
Houston police say
apparently he picked a bad area to move to for this.
Big reason they're able to catch them and stop fraud, ID scanning technology. Many dealers...
I don't think he's doing it through fake IDs, though. I think the way he's doing it is through his... Well, I guess I don't know. Is he doing fake IDs? Even with an EIN, you'd think he'd have to, right? How else are they, like, even in a discussion with him without his ID? I don't know.
Are now using devices that play a critical role in real-time ID verification by looking for and checking security features.
Things like watermarks, infrared, photo patterns, you know, all the different security features within that document, we want to make sure that they're present.
Pete McInnes is the CEO of...
I mean, someone could just steal a real ID, though, and that'll have all those things.
eLend Solutions, a company that provides ID scanning devices to automobile dealers to protect them against fraud.
It can look at up to 63 different security...
I see. This is in part an ad for this guy's company.
...features within that document.
Again, I'm not saying this has, you know, obviously, if the device works, that's great, but it doesn't really deal with the issue in totality because they're just going to start using stolen IDs. So, hopefully, this connects to some sort of database of stolen IDs also, so it can be like, hey, this one's stolen. If not, you're only kind of tackling half the issue. Because a lot of the time, you know, they were already looking at IDs. You can look at an ID and figure out if it's real or not, or at least attempt to. You don't need to just identify it's a fake ID, because sometimes it's a real ID, and the person that's using it maybe looks vaguely like the person. If you're someone running this grift, you're going to get stolen IDs, and you're going to say, who do I know that looks closest to this and will do this for me? But it might be a real ID, just stolen.
By arresting 16 people so far this year, HPD's Auto Theft Division...
He's done the car thing, too.
Vehicle Fraud Unit...
He's talked about him getting multiple cars before and doing this, so...
has been able to prevent $740,000.
And he gives people advice on how to do this.
In fraudulent vehicle purchases.
We've definitely noticed an increase in our fraud in progress arrest over the past 8 months.
And without this tool in their arsenal, police say they would be making far fewer cases. Every time someone doesn't get caught, the cost can be passed on to the consumer. HPD continues to work closely and...
I don't think this is the case, but it would be funny if Taquan, as it turned out, was like the head of a big crime ring that does this, and the way that he recruits people is through his online grift YouTube channel, and he's like the head guy. Or even if not the head guy, like, you know, the face. And then he recruits people, and then they pay them for advice, and then also they'll be like, hey, you're in the Houston area, you want to help us out? And then they, you know... And then maybe Taquan moved down to Houston to be closer to the business. Again, this is all bullshit. This is a nonsense thing I just said for fun, but it'd be funny if that turned out to be the case.
Partner with area dealerships to help them educate and train their employees how to spot red flags when someone comes in and wants to buy a vehicle. We're live just east of downtown tonight. Andy Sirota,
To be clear, I should point this out just in case. The reference to apes is literally about the super stonk community, Not anything else.
BRC.
Jesus Christ.
2 News.
Another Sobsit thing.
Jason Zimmer?
Huh?
Born March 1984?
Yeah.
And March 15th? Have you ever had a license in the province of
I'm not answering any questions. Do what you need to do.
Nah, tinfoil means that there's at least circumstantial. It's not even tinfoil, it's just a thing I said.
We're,
do you have any paperwork for the vehicle?
What crime did I commit?
fast gas,
I'm
place, you know?
assuming you're driving with no insurance.
I know you didn't, Wampa, but I'm running a show here where people can come in at any time who've never seen the show before. I need to give context for things if it comes off as yikesy without the context. That's my job.
Because you have a plate that doesn't belong to ICBC.
Why are you making assumptions?
Did the tagging you in the ancient video comment thing work? I don't know, let's see. I don't see it, but it might be. I don't know.
Do you have any paperwork to prove that you have insurance?
Did I do a crime? Did I commit a crime?
Well, that's what I'm trying to find out. So, one, you haven't provided me with the driver's license yet. That is a motor vehicle.
But why don't you go run me then?
Okay. Do you have any paperwork for the
Yeah, that's a Sobsit thing. This is in Canada. I believe that this is an individual from the United States that is trying the sovereign citizen thing while they are visiting Canada.
I'm not answering any questions. Go do what you need to do.
You have no paperwork?
I'm not answering questions.
Okay.
I'm checking to see if the thing you tagged me in showed up. Just so you know. That's what I'm doing. I didn't get a notification for a mention.
Jason, I see under ICBC you do have an active driver's license. However, this vehicle is uninsured.
I know I canceled that, but I'm not answering any questions.
Oh, that's not good. You need to have insurance for your car.
Okay. So, you can't drive the vehicle from here. The vehicle's going to be towed, and the plates are going to be seized because they're not proper license plates.
I have to use the bathroom real quick. I'm gonna pee. Be right back. Here, Teen Wolf 2 will keep you company. Finally, Teen Wolf 2 will be worth something. There you go, Teen Wolf 2. It's your time to shine. Oh, sat on Teen Wolf 2. Sorry. Still in the cellophane and probably will be. Who's gonna watch Teen Wolf 2? Sorry, Jason Bateman. You're just not as dreamy as Michael J. Fox.
Okay.
You're gonna do what you're gonna do.
Do you have any questions?
I have no questions for you. I have no contracts or agreements with you guys. This happened over a year ago. I've been operating this way this whole time. No problem.
Oh, that's good. Admit that you've been committing the crime for an extended period of time. That'll be good for you.
And have you been caught since?
I've been.
I feel like this Canadian cop can't even believe what's being said right now. I don't know if he's ever had to interact with an American in a traffic stop before, much less a sovereign citizen. Seems very confused, understandably.
And
Pulled over
by
since then?
everyone. No problems.
Unless you can prove that to me, I don't believe you.
I don't care what you believe.
Okay.
You're gonna make your claim what you're gonna do. What's your name and badge number?
Constable Gibson, 65120.
What about you? Name and badge number.
He wants your reg number. 62074.
Okay.
Okay. So, you haven't provided me the documentation. You do have a driver's license. You're driving with no insurance and wrong number plates. So you are going to be getting a traffic ticket today, and the vehicle is going to be towed. Okay?
No, I don't agree to that.
It doesn't matter whether or not you agree.
Okay,
That
you're
is
gonna do
what's
what you're
happening.
gonna do. You're gonna do what you're gonna do.
Okay.
It's always funny how they say that until they actually do what they're going to do, and then they're mad about it. Like, you just said they're going to do what they're going to do. Why are you mad? You knew... What?
Here's this back. I'm printing up the ticket, and then we'll go from there.
I don't know if there are kids. There
Hey,
might
Jason,
be.
this here is your name, your information, where the offense took place, the offenses, no insurance, failed to produce driver's license, wrong number plate, vehicle, and my information.
Okay, so typical soft sit stuff. Didn't have an appropriate registration, license plate, license, or insurance.
Any information on how to pay or dispute is on the back. This is your copy. The tow truck is on the way.
I don't consent to this. You're creating a
I don't consent to any of this.
non-consensual security agreement on the side of the road without right.
It's not a security agreement. They're towing your car because you don't have insurance.
It doesn't matter whether you consent or not. This is what's happening. In the
Okay,
province
I
of
know
British
that.
Columbia, you're required to have
I'm not part of the
insurance.
province of British Columbia. I'm not part of it anymore.
How do we know this guy is from the States? His passport, I thought, was a United States passport because we saw him pass it. And also, I saw this on Van Balion's channel, which I thought was this one. If I'm wrong, and I apologize. But I thought this was the one where it was an American, right? Let's see.
Ignorance of the law is no excuse. You guys will find out, though. I don't think you guys have met someone like me before.
So I see your. Hi there.
Hey.
I'll let you know.
What do Canadian passports look like? Okay, well maybe I'm wrong then. I must have been thinking about a different video. I apologize.
My vehicle is equipped with an audio video recorder as well, so I am recording as well.
We're
You have a
getting pulled
license, my
over.
friend.
Oh, sorry, that was the Van Balion video.
And yes, I did have a license at one point, but I
Well, you still
canceled
do.
that. No, I
My bad. They're both Canadian to my knowledge then.
canceled
No,
it.
it's still valid.
But you
or else
get-
you would have been getting more tickets.
you guys can keep forcing your will all you want. It doesn't matter. This happened to me over a year ago.
Mhm.
They took the plates off, towed the truck. Since then, I've been operating this way, traveling. I have the right to travel.
But in the province of British Columbia,
What?
I'm
When
not
you're-
in the province
So,
of British
Jason,
Columbia.
when you're operating a motor vehicle on a public
I'm done
highway
talking.
as
I'll check right now Marcel's channel, but I don't think he's put out anything.
created by the
Do what
province
you're
of
gonna
British
do.
Columbia, you're required to have insurance as issued by the Insurance Corporation of British Columbia. Unfortunately, you do not. This is why this is happening right now.
Wait, does British Columbia just have national or state insurance? Provincial insurance? That's kind of dope. Teo Sky is in jail, yes.
It doesn't matter whether or not you're traveling or not, you
I don't-
are
I don't-
traveling on a
do
motor
what you need to
vehicle
do.
highway created by the province of British Columbia. Okay? Okay.
You're filming me?
Here, can you record them back there? Yeah. Just take it, unplug it.
Okay, so kids, but like adolescent kids.
Are they trying to take off your plates?
I don't know, Baja. And in fact, the funny thing is, it's not even actually, I don't think it's directly written in the United States Constitution that you have a right to travel. It was in the Articles of Articles of Confederation, but it was taken out, and we have, the Bill of Rights that we have in the original Constitution. It was, however, determined by Supreme Court, judicial review, basically, that the right to travel is something we have. It's just one of those things that's the verbiage specifically is not in the Constitution, I don't believe, but that right has been shown to exist through Supreme Court rulings. I have no idea about Canada's constitution or whatever they have. Charter, whatever. I don't know. Yeah. Like, at the very least, the kids in the back are, like, teenagers, you know? I don't know their exact age or whatever, but they're old enough that this is a situation where, like, they, you know, they're not little kids that are, like, scared like a little kid would be. Maybe if any of the kids have been kind of indoctrinated into this sovereign citizen thing, this interaction will stick out to them as, like, this didn't go the way that I was told it was going to happen. They're young enough that they could still not be involved in this, is what I'm saying. Yes, the right to travel is the right to pass between states freely within the United States. I assume the same exists in Canada. I don't know if it's enshrined, though, like in the Constitution. Their Constitution.
Nothing.
Sorry, I keep getting distracted from looking up the Marcel thing.
I just want to record this, that's all.
Alright, so you riveted the license plate to your bumper.
Yes, because last time some highwaymen took it off and then said it's an abandoned vehicle on the side of the road. And
Highwaymen?
So this is affixed to my property, and you guys right now are trying to steal my property. So yeah, I'll record the theft, that's alright. It's affixed front and back. And I have been operating like this for over a year. Actually,
again, admitting that you haven't gotten caught doesn't mean you're right. Looks like Marcel has some stuff he's uploaded recently. 6 days ago, looks like he uploaded some stuff.
And what was that journey like for you? I sent.
Actually, it's almost been 2 years. It took 6 months before you guys did it the first time. Acting like highwaymen, not peace officers.
Okay, but it doesn't make it legal.
Yeah, you guys are gonna do what you're gonna do anyways. I already know. Fine.
Do you need a taxi for your family?
I don't need nothing. No, you don't worry about me.
Alright, so Jason, because you've riveted the plate to the vehicle, obviously I can't seize it, so the plate is going to stay on it. However, I'm going to be taking a bunch of photos of the vehicle instead. Okay?
Whatever you need to do.
Okay.
That's funny. He, like, bolted it to his car so they couldn't take it. Riveted, sorry. They're gonna tow the whole thing anyway.
Okay, speak.
So the vehicle is being removed from the roadway under the BC Motor Vehicle Act. If you can pay the tow company, you can have it towed home, back to your property.
I don't consent to any of it.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, well,
that is what it is.
so you're stealing my property then?
No.
Yeah.
It's being removed from the roadway.
Well, you're not seizing it because I didn't commit a crime.
You committed an offense under the BC Motor Vehicle Act.
I'm not part of the province of British Columbia or...
You are here physically, so yes, you are.
ICBC, I've got no contract.
You're not intangible. Like, how do you think this works? You could just be in a separate dimension, but in the same physical location?
With them.
Except you live within the province, so you're subject.
No, I'm not subject to them.
Yes,
Can you provide evidence of that?
Sure, the evidence was we're about to tow your car. Get fucked. Like, what do you mean provide evidence? Alright, I will exhibit my authority by doing something you don't want to happen and you can't do anything about it. Is that evidence enough? Shouldn't that prove that we have power over you if we do something you don't want to happen and it happens? And then they don't get in trouble?
Regardless of the fact, Jason, the vehicle's being removed from the roadway. If you can pay to have it towed back to your property, you can do that. Otherwise, just go back to their yard.
Well, I'll tell him when he gets here that I don't consent to it.
Okay, and he'll say, alright, either give me the address you want me to take it to, or I'm gonna take it to the impound.
Maybe I'll talk. Yeah, I don't care. He can be part of the he can be part of a lawsuit too.
You can tell them that all you want.
Okay.
But it's going to be towed back to either their yard or your property. Depends on if you want to pay or not.
No.
It's interesting to me how visible cop cars are in other countries. Look at that. They're like white vehicles with a very distinct stripe on it. Holy shit.
Guess we'll see.
Like, you don't have to be like, oh my god, are there black unmarked cars around me that are cops?
I've been off.
I'm sure there are undercover cop, but just like even general normal cop cars, like, you know, in America are often like black with quite subtle lettering and stuff unless you're looking for it.
Operating like this for a long time now. You're the first one over a year.
Oh, only the RCMP? Okay.
Year. Since
Obviously, no one's seen you operating since.
I go every day, everywhere.
It doesn't matter if you go everywhere every day and you operate every day like that. It depends on whether or not you get located and pulled over by a police officer.
Yeah, okay.
What he just said was true. Laughing nervously about it doesn't make it untrue. Believe me, I've done plenty of nervous laughing in my day. It doesn't affect what's being said or what's happening.
You know, contract makes the law, right?
Contract makes contract law.
Do you understand anything about contract law, guys?
This isn't that.
Anything?
This is road violations.
Yeah, you can say free man on the land all you want.
Private citizen, Dominion of Canada, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You're operating a motor vehicle within the province of Rittenhouse.
That's your claim.
No, that's the truth.
No, that's your claim. Okay.
You're here, we're talking! By definition, you're here.
Are you going to be able to provide a promise to perform?
Since that's legal nonsense, no, because I don't know what that is.
Okay. Okay. You guys understand that you're breaching my peace, right? Yeah, recording the theft. So they because my plates are affixed to it, they can't seize the plates, so they're gonna have to. They took pictures. You know, yeah. So at least I don't need to go purchase some new ones. They can't steal that property.
Again, if they didn't work last time and they're not working this time, why would you buy another set?
The thugs that they are, you know. No, they said they just need to get it off the road. They're like, oh, we can tow it to your
This
place.
guy needs to play Far Cry 3 really bad.
I said, I don't want to do anything with you guys. But if the tow truck comes here and he's going to tow her regardless, you know, I don't, like, it's really up to them what they want to do. They got a decision they got to make. But if they want to continue doing it, I'll hold them accountable. No, he just saw me and he decided to, he wanted to be a you know, yeah, he wanted to be a hero. What's that? No, it's UF 2404 and the other one. Oh, yeah. It is. It is, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he's out trying to create a non-consensual security agreement, and he doesn't even understand what he's doing. So, whatever. Yeah. I asked him if he understood when we go to court, is he going to provide a promise to perform? He's like, I don't know what that is. He doesn't understand contract law. He's out here.
This isn't contract law. Of course he doesn't understand what you're talking about. You're talking about conspiracy theories that have nothing to do with the reality of the law.
Writing securities. It doesn't even understand securities.
He's not writing securities.
Yeah. Stealing. He said, oh, they're not seizing it, so they're not stealing it. He's just going to remove it off the road. So when it gets back to my place, I hop back in, go back on the road. You guys.
If you did that, then you're going to get arrested, or at the very least your car is going to get impounded because they're going to see it and they're going to go, oh, you already had an opportunity to rectify this and you didn't. We're impounding your car.
He's going to do this again to me or what?
Yes, if you continue to break the law.
Yeah, okay. So you're going to criminally harass me then?
No.
Till you guys get your way?
Doing our job.
Oh, is this what your job is? To criminally harass private citizens?
You have a passport, so you're a citizen of Canada.
Okay, I'll let you
You
go.
have a passport, you're a citizen of Canada.
That is a good point. He does have a passport. How is he possibly claiming he's not a citizen of Canada?
In Canada. You can't claim you're not if you have a passport. And you're using your passport number as a license plate.
Sorry, what was that?
You have a passport, so you have a contract with the government of Canada.
You don't understand contract law, do you?
I don't have to understand your
Yeah, of course. That's fine. I don't care either if you don't understand it. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. That's fine.
Agreed.
You guys will find out though. I don't think you guys have met someone like me before. What? No, okay. You don't even understand what a promise to perform is. Is this a part of the criminal code? Or what's the crime that I committed?
Motor Vehicle Act.
Okay, I'm not part of the Motor Vehicle Act. I never
part of it.
Have any agreement with that. I don't.
You don't have to. You're here. You're driving, so you're part of it.
I don't have any.
That would be like saying I'm not a part of the law that says I can't steal all the cheese from my local grocery store. It's not a contract. It doesn't matter. It's a law. That's why it exists. Imagine you're brought like to imagine you're living in like Code of Hammurabi times and they're like, all right, you stole something, let's see your hand so we can cut it off. And you're like, I did not consent to the Code of Hammurabi. Actually, I do not consent. That's not the point. That's why it's a law. They're not suggestions.
On the roads created by the province of British Columbia, you are.
I'm traveling. I'm not driving on your roads.
Comedy based on politics isn't good comedy? Fuck. I'm apparently not funny then. Oh shit. Like half the things I say aren't funny. Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's also an absurd statement. What do you mean comedy based on politics isn't good comedy? Some of the funniest comedy of all time has come out of political messaging. What are you talking about?
So you're subject to its laws and rules.
Whatever you believe.
So if you want to drive in the bush, you're not subject to them. But if you want to drive on a roadway paid for and funded by the taxpayers of Canada, you have to.
This is the Crown land, right?
Like everything Mel Brooks ever did. Like, do you just think Mel Brooks is like? I don't even like. What are we?
The Crown roads, the King's roads.
No.
Okay, so whose roads are they?
They're public roadways, and the laws passed by public officials say that public people on public roadways need licenses, insurance, etc.
So the province of British Columbia owns them. You're saying that the province of the British Columbia owns all the public roads?
Yes.
They own all the public roads? Yes. Okay.
Yeah. The government that builds the roads owns the roads. Yep.
Oh, they fund them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they're funded through tax dollars. Those same tax dollars go into funding a legislature that writes the laws, including the ones that say you can't drive on these roadways without insurance.
I didn't know that the province of British Columbia funded it. I thought the people funded it.
They do. Through taxes to the government of British Columbia.
Taxpayer money, yes.
So I'm the one
No, this isn't Glenn.
contradicting myself.
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna put this back in so I don't lose my bolt. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I did. I had a funny feeling that some highwaymen would try and steal them again.
Highwaymen.
Criminal harassment?
No, criminal harassment would say you calling someone 120 times within the span of 3 days.
So if I go out and you do this to me, and then the next day I go out and you do this to me, and then the next day I go out and you...
No, if you continue to break the law, then they are interacting with you and stopping you from breaking the law. Like if someone... Obviously this example doesn't make sense because you'd be arrested immediately for robbing a bank, but let's imagine you didn't. Let's say on Monday you went and you tried to do an armed robbery of a bank and you're arrested. And that same day, you're very lucky. For some reason, you're out on bail. Tuesday, you go back to the bank and you try and rob it again. The cops stop you again, arrest you, take you in. You're booked for those charges. For whatever reason, computer glitch, you're bailed out again. You leave. You go to the same bank Wednesday because, I don't know. It seems to be working so far, kind of. You're not in jail at least. So on Wednesday, you go into the bank and you try and rob it again, and the police arrest you, and you go, "Why are you harassing me?" They aren't. You're continually committing the same crime. Harassment implies that they don't have the right to be doing what they are doing. They're not harassing you, they're arresting you.
No, you're trying to enforce a contract that I'm not a part of. So now you're trying to force a contract on me. You're trying to force performance without a promise to perform. This is what I'm talking about, and you don't understand it. You're like, you better, when you go to the judge, you say, well, I didn't know what a promise to perform, so that doesn't matter. I don't care if you don't understand the law. When I don't have a contract with the principal, now the agent is liable. I'm just letting you know. I'm informing you.
Consider him informed.
You're acting as agent for the province of British Columbia? I don't have any contracts or agreements with the province of British Columbia. So the contract that you're...
I'm gonna skip to when the tow truck gets here, because he's just kind of repeating himself, and I want to know so badly how he tries to talk. He's gonna try and get the tow guy on his side, obviously, you know? He's gonna, the cops are in this situation. He's already talked to the cops. Obviously, the cops don't agree with him. So now a new person is entering the scenario. You have the delusional person, and you have the people they are already in conflict with. A third person, or rather, sorry, a fourth person who has not been part of this interaction is now entering the space. Immediately, I would imagine, I haven't seen this video yet, I'm gonna assume that the sovereign citizen gentleman is going to try and ingratiate himself to the new person entering the situation because he needs an ally. He needs someone who agrees with him, because if they don't, obviously his car's gonna get towed. So let's see how that goes.
Oh, that's been canceled.
No, there's not a kazoo channel points because I don't want to lose my entire audience. I'm sure this surly... I shouldn't make snap judgments. I'm gonna call him surly, though. We did it. Let's stick with it. I'm sure this surly Canadian tow truck driver is gonna be thrilled to deal with this delusional sobsit bullshit. Hey, Horrifying Apocalypse, how's it going?
I said I don't consent to you towing my property.
I don't consent to you towing my property.
Put that away.
Oh, he doesn't want to be filmed.
You don't touch me.
I was right. My snap judgment. Don't make snap judgment, but I was correct. He's surly.
I'm gonna record you out here in public. Yeah, you better not touch me.
Don't worry, I'm recording. So, he essentially has no insurance, but can't pay or
That truck's too loud to hear around.
To pull it onto the deck, or are you gonna give him the key so he can drive it on?
No, I don't want him to damage my property, but if he damages my property, he could be held liable.
If you don't want him to damage your property, it would help if you gave him the keys so he could drive it up onto the bed instead of having to pull it, which is inevitably going to increase the risk of damage to your car and probably his equipment. Just give him the keys.
For it, I mean, I don't consent to none of this.
So if you don't want him to pull it onto the deck and damage it, then he needs the key so he can put it into neutral. Or you can put it into neutral yourself once he's hooked it up, but it's gonna have to...
You know, I'm not gonna damage my property. I'll do whatever, and I'll just come after you for it afterwards. It's fine.
Good luck.
I don't care. And what company is this too? Because
Reliable Towing.
Reliable Towing? Okay. Don't touch it yet. I'll put it into there. Don't worry, buddy, you're on camera.
Oh, the guy who doesn't want to be filmed in the first place, who looks like he's been in more bar fights than one could probably count in his lifetime. Like, I feel like this, and I don't know, again, these are snap judgments, but I don't know, I was right about the surly thing. Kind of feels like he's maybe stabbed someone to death in a bar with a broken bottle. Maybe don't make this gentleman mad. I'm just saying, he's just trying to do his job.
What's that?
I don't give a damn.
Yeah, I know you don't give a damn.
Keys, or do I tow it up?
Hold on, just give me a second. I gotta grab my stuff.
Don't judge me by my winners, Harold Elman. Judge me by my losers. You're selectively picking the ones where I was very right. I'm sure there's a plethora of times I was wrong that you don't remember. And also, past performance isn't necessarily indicative of future results.
Yeah, well, you did.
What?
Is he just straight up sitting in his car hoping it won't get towed, or is he at least just grabbing his stuff?
I don't consent to it though, so...
Doesn't matter. How many times do you have to be
rest.
told this is not a matter of consent? Consent is so important, and I am so glad that consent is a big enough part of the, like, discussion culturally that it's coming up even in stuff like this, because consent is important in so many parts of life. In most parts of life, social interactions should be ruled in large part by consent. Great. This isn't one of those situations. This is in British Columbia?
I do have the right to seek remedy after the fact. I'm not going to do anything before.
Great, okay, do that.
You guys want to make this claim? That's all on you.
Threatening isn't going to do anything. If you think you have grounds for a lawsuit, sue. You don't, but...
Yeah, you can shrug all you want. I don't really care. just give me a second. So just to confirm, you guys are going to continue to criminally harass me when I go out?
We'll continue to enforce the law, yes.
Contract makes the law, you know that, right?
Nope. Contract, again, makes contract law. It's like the backbone of a lot of civil law.
Again,
deny this.
I'm not gonna go through this mumbo jumbo.
Okay,
stuff.
that's fine. I just, as long as you know, that's all that matters.
Thanks, chat. I trust you all to know what I'm thinking if I give a look to the camera. You get it.
You guys take this. Yeah, I'm gonna take the cord too. Here's Mr. Happy over here. This guy
That's not what I wanted. No! Why did it do that? Boom. One second.
Ignorance of the law is no excuse. I said I don't consent.
Everything is a contract.
Oh, it's the Van Balian video, dang it. Sorry. Where did it go?
Ignorance of the law is no excuse. You guys will find out.
There it is. Uber. One of the kids asked how we're supposed to get home. Probably Uber.
Or we just go hang out somewhere until she's done work.
Well,
Or they could be liable for the damages.
he wanted evidence of their authority. I'd say that's pretty good evidence.
Everything is leaving us now. And Dad's window's open.
Hey, you better close it, or they could be liable for the damages.
Why didn't you close the window?
Yeah,
They're the trustee right now.
are they trying to There are trucks out.
And there they go.
Let's get out of the way.
Well, hope those kids learn better. Alright. Well, we've been going for longer than I thought for this YouTube stream, actually. 3 hours. So we're going to end it now, and we're going to go to Twitch, where we're going to do our Doctor Who 60th anniversary stream. It's going to be indulgent and fun and silly, and we're just going to watch different Doctor Who stuff and talk about it, and I'm just going to rant about Doctor Who. It'll be a good time if you want to be there for that. If not, if you're not interested in Doctor Who or the stream about it, then I hope to see you soon. Thanks for hanging out for this YouTube stream. Appreciate you and your viewership. Give the stream a like if you can. That's about it. So thanks, everyone. I will see you guys soon. Mr. Blast, love you too. I'll see you guys soon for the Doctor Who stuff, and be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes. Bye.